Chapter 876. Maori and Yu Yu's faces darkened. They knew how powerful Bai Ditian was. Bai Ditian, the sacred lord, thinks highly of you, but you are unwilling to join the Great Zhao's sacred ground. Now, do you want to become enemies with the Great Zhao's sacred ground? Dao Lord Yu Yu said. Enemies? Ha, can you represent Jingyu? The Great Zhao's sacred ground invaded the Great Zhao's sacred ground with zombies and did not care about the Great Zhao's sacred ground's dignity. Instead, you came to steal the Dharma treasure of an ally of the Great Zhao's sacred ground? Ha, I wonder how Jingyu will punish you if she knows. Bai Ditian sneered. The two's faces changed. However, Maori quickly retorted, ally? Ha, since when did the Great Zhao's sacred ground become an ally of the Great Zhao's sacred ground? Bai Ditian smiled and turned to look at the huge blood sea in the south. Yan Chuan. Bai Ditian shouted. As he shouted, his powerful aura suppressed the direction of the blood sea. Bam! The vast blood sea suddenly retracted. Yan Chuan stepped on the vine demon and flew into the sky, leaving the snake sovereign alone. He led the 4 giant snakes and looked coldly. Bai Ditian? You came out? Yan Chuan asked curiously. With 2 Dao lords here, can I still guard the heavenly tribulation acupoint? Bai Ditian smiled faintly. When Bai Ditian said that, Yan Chuan also smiled. Qing Long. Yan Chuan shouted. At the heavenly tribulation acupoint, a figure flew up. Qing Long greets Mohina Dojin and Dao Lord Yu Yu. Qing Long immediately said. Qing Long. Why are you not following Dao Lord Yu Shi? What are you doing here? Mohina Dojin said in a low voice. Qing Long is here on Dao Lord Yu Shi's orders to help the Hades Emperor guard the Great Zhao's sacred grounds borders. Furthermore, the Hades Emperor's actions here represent Dao Lord Yu Shi. Qing Long said solemnly. His actions represent Mo Yu Shi. Maori and Yu Yu's faces sank. Since the 2 of you feel that we are a hindrance, then we will not interfere in the upcoming calamity. The 2 of you, please do as you please. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Humph. Mohina Dojin snorted. At this moment, Mohina Dojin could see that it was impossible to snatch the bell again. In the distance, the Snake Emperor narrowed his eyes as he stared at Yan Chuan. Cough, cough, cough. Are you Yan Chuan? Why do you want to fight with me since you have a strong upper void stage martial artist to help you? The Snake Emperor narrowed his eyes and stared at Yan Chuan. The moment Bai Ditian released his aura, the Snake Emperor could sense how powerful he was. However, why hadn't Bai Ditian attacked earlier? Yan Chuan looked at Snake Emperor, then at Dao Lord Yu Yu and Dao Lord Yu Ri. He took a deep breath and said, on one hand, it's because you are unwilling to forgive me. On the other hand, I represent Dao Lord Yu Shi of the Great Zhao dynasty, and these 2 are only from the Great Jin dynasty. Since I represent Dao Lord Yu Shi, I naturally have to stop you from causing trouble in the Great Zhao dynasty's territory. However, it seems that Dao Lord Yu Ri and Dao Lord Yu Yu are unwilling. Since that's the case, then Yan Chuan will not participate. Mohina Dojin and Dao Lord Yu Yu felt suffocated. Yan Chuan had discovered them. He deliberately lured them out. The Snake Emperor also narrowed his eyes. Maori, Dao Lord Yu Yu, and the Snake Emperor suddenly felt that they had been schemed against. However, at this moment, they could no longer target Yan Chuan. The 3 of you, please. Under the venomous gazes of the 3. Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, Jin Dayu, and Qing Long retreated to the side. Your Majesty. How did you know they were here? Jin Dayu asked curiously. Bai Ditian discovered them. If I had called Bai Ditian in from the beginning, the 2 Dao lords would definitely have watched the tigers fight and reaped the benefits. That's why I personally took action to deal with the Snake Emperor and lure the 2 Dao lords out. In the end, they couldn't hold it in, ha. Yan Chuan explained softly. Chapter 877. At the peak of a mountain in the Heaven Tribulation mountain range. Yan Chuan, Jin Dayu, and Bai Ditian were watching the battle in the distance. The two Dao lords, Maori and Yu Yu, were attacking the Snake Emperor. Hiss! Hiss! The Snake Emperor hissed, and 4 more giant snakes appeared. They roared and charged at Maori and Yu Yu. Evil creature, you're courting death. Mohina Dojin roared. The 4 giant snakes were nothing in front of the two Dao lords. The two Dao lords were like the sun and moon as they charged at the Snake Emperor. Cough! 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 The Snake Emperor coughed as he retreated. Yan Chuan and the other two watched solemnly. As for Qing Long, he went to guard the Heaven Tribulation Meridian again. This Snake Emperor seems to be injured. Why does he keep coughing? Jin Dayu asked curiously. This Snake Emperor is not simple. If I'm not wrong, when he was at his peak, he was stronger than Maori and Yu Yu combined. Yan Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Oh. Then why is he retreating? Moreover, when he fought with you earlier, he did not have much of an advantage. Bai Ditian asked curiously. The Snake Emperor did not want to use his full strength. When he fought with me, he released some of his strength. If the Snake Emperor is willing to fight with his life on the line, he will be able to resolve this crisis quickly. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Then why did he? Jin Dayu did not understand. You guessed right. He is injured, and his injuries are extremely serious. It is not his physical body, but his birth providence. There should be a crack in his birth providence. Yan Chuan said solemnly. His birth providence was damaged. Yes. That's why he looks like he has tuberculosis. Yan Chuan nodded. How did his birth providence get damaged? Bai Ditian asked with a frown. I'm not sure, but my feeling is definitely right. I even feel that if he was at his peak, even you, Bai Ditian, might not be his match. Yan Chuan said as he looked at Bai Ditian. Oh. Bai Ditian's eyes narrowed. Bai Ditian knew Yan Chuan's background and naturally knew that Yan Chuan would not speak carelessly. Was the Snake Emperor really that powerful in the past? Cough 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 cough. In the distance, the Snake Emperor kept coughing. Tuberculosis fiend, just give up. You 8 giant snakes won't be able to stop us. Dao Lord Solar shouted coldly. The Snake Emperor looked at the two of them with cold eyes. 16. The Snake Emperor shouted. Boom. Suddenly, 8 giant snakes emerged from the ground. Pooh. The Snake Emperor coughed out a mouthful of blood. His face turned even paler as he stared coldly at Dao Lord Yu Yu and Dao Lord Yu Ri. 16 giant snakes. The two Dao lords, Maori and Yu Yue, revealed looks of shock. Snake? How much did he have? In the distance, Yan Chuan, Jin Dayu, and Bai Ditian all frowned as they watched. When he was fighting Yan Chuan, he only had 4. Now, he had 16. Where did they come from? Bai Ditian, before you came, how was the recruitment of the Great Jin Empire? Yan Chuan asked. An army of 10 million. Bai Ditian said solemnly. 10 million. Yan Chuan nodded. My tiger race is continuously advancing to the Great Jin Empire. Now, we have about 1 million tiger cavalry. Bai Ditian said. That's not enough. Yan Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Your Majesty, that's still not enough. Jin Dayu asked in confusion. Time waits for no one. The battle in Jingying will begin soon. Whether Jingying succeeds or not, the world will change. I have to unify the East Divine Continent as soon as possible. An army of 10 million. It's too little. We can only replenish it during battle. Yan Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Chapter 878. Unify the East Divine Continent. Jin Dayu was slightly taken aback before his expression turned solemn. Yes. Far away, the battle continued. The 16 gigantic snakes were still unable to stop the two Tao lords. Each of the gigantic snakes was riddled with injuries as though they were about to be defeated at any moment. Cough, cough, cough. The Snake Emperor stood on the head of a gigantic snake and his coughs were getting worse. When he saw the two Tao lords pressing over, his expression was extremely terrible. 32. The Snake Emperor cried out with difficulty. Just as the Snake Emperor was conjuring hand seals and was about to strike, a deafening roar sounded from the south. You little thief, you're courting death. Along with this roar, black fog billowed from the south. The black fog covered the skies and swept over like a storm. Hong! The black fog rushed towards the two Tao lords. Even though the two Tao lords were blessed with good karma, they were still pushed back by 1,000 feet. The two Tao lords, one gold and one silver, emitted a dazzling light that blocked the invasion of the black fog. Both of their expressions changed. The battle came to an end. They looked at the black-robed figure beside the Snake Emperor in shock. Huff, 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 huff. A strong wind blew against the robes of the black-robed figure. The black-robed figure extended a skeletal claw and a green light surged into the body of the Snake Emperor. Huff. The Snake Emperor heaved a long sigh. His complexion was much better. As for the gigantic snake on the ground, it flicked its tail and disappeared gradually. It disappeared into thin air just like that, as though it was an illusion to begin with. Thank you, Your Majesty. The Snake Emperor said gratefully. Snake Emperor, just you wait. I'll take their hearts and livers to nourish your body. The black-robed figure said coldly. Cough, cough, cough. Thank you, Your Majesty. The Snake Emperor nodded and turned to look at the two Tao lords coldly. King Gaiyu. Tao Lord Yuyu's expression changed. The one who came to assist the Snake Emperor was the Emperor of the Great Nightmare Heaven Dynasty, King Gaiyu. King Gaiyu held a scepter in his hands and two skeletal eyes that glowed with a dim light could be seen from his hat. Tao Lord Yuyu. Mohina Dojin. You shall be killed for hurting my beloved subject. King Gaiyu shouted coldly. King Gaiyu and you. Suddenly, a green light shot up into the sky from the scepter. Doomsday Judgment. King of Gaia shouted coldly. Suddenly, a black cloud appeared in the skies. Instantly, a black beam of light shot down from the black cloud towards Tao Lord Yuyu. Tao Lord Yuyu's expression changed. Silver light shone from her body as she raised the Dharma treasure, moon string wheel, and slashed towards the sky. Tao Lord Yuyu was hit by the black light and the surrounding silver light shattered. Like a cannonball, he rushed down and smashed into the ground. Boom! Tao Lord Yuyu smashed a huge pit with a radius of 1,000 feet. In the middle of the huge pit, there was a deep hole, smashing Tao Lord Yuyu deep into the ground. Judgment Day. King of Gaia called out again. Yet another streak of black light shot straight towards Tao Lord Black Sun. Solar golden light. Even though Mohina Dojin was radiating a dazzling brilliance, he was still far from being able to match up to King of Gai. King of Gai's furious strike caused Mohina Dojin to follow in the footsteps of Tao Lord Yuyu, smashing deep into the ground. In the distance, Jin Dayu gaped in shock. King of Gaia. Armageddon. Wasn't he way too strong? Maori and Yuyu flew out from the hole in the ground. Their clothes were tattered and they looked extremely pathetic. Both of them looked at King of Gaia in shock. Wasn't he way too strong? Perfected Lord Lanyu, why aren't you guys coming out? Mohina Dojin roared furiously. Swoosh! Swoosh! Instantly, the 5 sect masters of the vassal sects appeared. They took out their Dharma treasures and looked at King of Gaia warily. Chapter 879. Behind King Gai, 10 figures in black robes gradually appeared and stood respectfully behind King Gai. Two of them were supporting the Snake Emperor. King Gai's skeleton eyes were still glaring at the 7 upper void realm cultivators. All of you came together. Just nice, I'll use your skull as a gift to Jing Ting. King Gai said coldly. Attack together. Mohina Dojin roared. Roar. The 7 upper void realm cultivators unleashed an extremely powerful aura at the same time. Holding on to their respective treasures, they charged towards King Gai. In an instant, 7 rays of light pierced through the sky like rainbows. Wherever they passed, the ground would churn. They charged towards King Gai. Just in time. Final verdict. King Gai raised his scepter towards the sky again. Boom. The dark clouds in the sky suddenly expanded by 10 times. In an instant, 7 rays of black light pillars descended from the sky and charged towards the 7 upper void realm cultivators. Not good. Mohina Dojin's expression changed. The 7 upper void realm cultivators raised their respective treasures and charged towards the black light. Boom. The 7 of them were instantly pressed down to the ground by a huge force. Large cracks appeared on the ground as the 7 of them stepped on it. However, the 7 of them were not pushed into the depths of the ground. Kakakaka. The 7 of them struggled to resist the black light descending from the sky. How could this be? How could King Gai be so strong? Pfft. Perfected Lord Lan Yu exclaimed as he vomited blood. Dao Lord Yu Yu was also struggling bitterly. The moon crescent wheel in her hand showed signs of collapsing again. Large cracks appeared on it. I still underestimated him. King Gai. Mohina Dojin's expression was extremely unpleasant. All this while, Mohina Dojin had never felt that he was small. Other than Jing Ting, he should be one of the strongest people in the world. The strongest group of people. But what was happening in front of him? King Gai alone. He could not even defend himself. Why? Mohina Dojin's eyes were bloodshot. Not only Mohina Dojin, but the other upper void realm cultivators were also the same. In front of King Gai, they could not even resist. Everyone felt that it was not over. There was an even more dangerous feeling coming from the dark clouds. Buzz. Suddenly, 7 saber-shaped red lights appeared above the black clouds that were connected to the 7 black lights. The moment the 7 saber-shaped red lights appeared, they emitted a bone-piercing cold chi, causing frost to fall in all directions. 7 red sabers slashed down along with the black light, slashing toward the 7 upper void realm masters. King of Gai had single-handedly suppressed the 7 upper emptiness stage elites. The moment the red saber appeared, the faces of the 7 upper emptiness stage elites turned cold. No! True Monarch Lan Yu roared. Before the red saber arrived, the killing intent had already frozen his bone marrow. It was a feeling that he could not resist at all. Death? Am I going to die? Supreme Lan Yu roared in shock, and so did the others. The 7 of them finally experienced the might of King Gai Yu. The red light was nearing, and it looked like the 7 upper emptiness realm cultivators were about to fall here. Ha ha ha, great revelation holy ground. King Guai revealed a disdainful smile. Just as King Guai was feeling smug, the sky suddenly distorted. Buzz. High up in the sky, the space was extremely distorted. The black cloud that was about to deliver the final judgment swayed in an instant. Boom. As the black cloud swayed, the black light also weakened instantly. The 7 upper emptiness stage elites were all overjoyed. They took this opportunity to escape. Boom. The 7 red sabers slashed into the ground, and 7 bottomless holes instantly appeared on the ground. The 7 upper emptiness stage elites narrowly escaped the fatal crisis, but each of them still had lingering fears. Chapter 880. At the same time, the 7 of them looked at the sky. Rumble. The dark clouds in the sky distorted intensely. King Gai looked up at the sky. Bam! The dark clouds suddenly exploded, stirring up a huge storm. Where the dark clouds were, the space distorted continuously. Gradually, a 10,000 feet golden figure appeared. The towering golden shadow floated in the air, exuding a supreme aura. One could vaguely see the figure's face. Holy Lord. Mohina Dojin said respectfully. Greetings, Holy Lord. The 7 upper void realm cultivators bowed respectfully. Jing Ming's figure appeared. His face was cold as he stared at King Gai. King Gai waved his scepter, and a breeze blew past, causing his black robe to flutter. The great revelation Holy Lord, the great nightmare Holy Lord. The 2 great heroes of the world looked at each other. King Gai. Jing Ming shouted coldly. With a shout, the void trembled. King Gai was also extremely arrogant. Jing Ming. You are the most powerful person in this world. You were in the southern divine continent, and I didn't want to bother with you. How dare you come to the east divine continent? Do you know where this is? How dare you? Jing Ming said coldly. Dare? Ha ha ha, I have never been afraid of anyone, and I don't know what courage is. Jing Ming, since you are the most powerful person in the world, accept my challenge. Then accept my challenge. I want to see if the number 1 person under the heavens is just an undeserved reputation. King of Gaia shouted with his scepter in hand. You are overestimating yourself. Jing Ming said coldly. You are the one who is overestimating yourself. King Gai's eyes turned cold. Since you came to my great revelation to be so presumptuous, you should be prepared to bear the consequences. You can't blame others for injuring my great revelation Dao Lord. Jing Ming said coldly. As he spoke, Jing Ming suddenly reached out with his right palm. It descended from the sky and pressed down on King Gai. Rumble. As his right palm pressed down, the space under his palm seemed to fold, producing a series of explosions. The 7 upper void realm cultivators quickly fled. When King Gai saw the huge palm pressing down on him, his face darkened. He waved his scepter towards the sky. Boom! Another dark cloud appeared in the sky, but it was destroyed by Jing Ming's palm. How could this be? King of Gai's expression changed. With a wave of the scepter in his hand, the scepter suddenly expanded to 1,000 feet in size and smashed towards Jing Ting's right palm. Boom! The palm and staff collided. The scepter finally stopped Jing Ming's hand. King of Gai sighed to himself. It finally stopped. How could De Zhao have such a strong monster? Ka 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 ka. A large number of cracks appeared on the scepter. No, no! King of Gaia exclaimed. Boom! The scepter that King Guai was so proud of exploded with a loud bang. It shattered into pieces and scattered in all directions. No! King of Gaia exclaimed. Rumble! Jing Ming's palm continued to press down, pressing down harder and harder. The immense pressure seemed to have sealed off the escape route of King of Gai and the others. The Snake Emperor and the others could not escape even if they wanted to. All of them looked at the huge palm descending from the sky in horror. Pooh! Under this pressure, the Snake Emperor spat out another mouthful of blood. The giant palm pressed down harder and harder, and the other 10 subordinates of King Guai also fell to the ground. King of Gaia wanted to resist, but under this heavenly might, he could not resist at all. It was incomparably vast. No! King of Gaia exclaimed as he pounced towards the Snake Emperor. Boom! The giant palm finally pressed down on the ground. King of Gaia and the others were all trapped in the palm. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire Heaven Calamity Mountain range sunk under Jing Ming's palm. As the ground sank, the tall mountain that Yan Chuan was standing on also collapsed. Yan Chuan, Bai Ditian, and Jin Dayu flew up into the sky and looked at the sunken ground in shock. Billowing smoke and dust rose into the sky. When the smoke and dust settled, Jingming's giant palm had also disappeared. At this moment, the ground had sunk more than 3,000 feet. Where King of Gaia stood, the ground was crushed like a thick rock. King of Gaia's 10 subordinates were all crushed into powder. On that piece of ground, there was only a sudden black dot. The black dot slowly crawled up. It was King of Gaia who stood up in a sorry state. His clothes were torn, revealing his white bones. Below King of Gaia was the Snake Emperor. The Snake Emperor's face was extremely pale and weak. Other than the Snake Emperor, King of Gaia's entire army had been wiped out. King of Gaia stood up and looked at the giant phantom in the sky with shock. Jingming. The number one person in the world. The number one person in the world that he wanted to challenge. The other party was just a projection, and he could not resist at all. Did he still want to challenge him? King of Gaia was extremely bitter. Facing Jingming, King of Gaia bowed slightly. Great Revelation Sacred Lord, King of Gaia has offended you. In the phantom, Jingming looked coldly at King of Gaia. I have not appeared for many years. Do you think I don't exist? Jingming shouted coldly. With that, a large number of figures flew out from the Four Directions forest. One by one, the figures soared into the sky and stood on the peaks of the mountains. Disciples of the Archaean Sacred Grounds greet the Great Revelation Sacred Lord. Julu Academy disciples greet the Great Revelation Sacred Lord. Celestial Arcanum Sect disciples greet the Great Revelation Sacred Lord. Congealed Jade Palace disciples greet the Great Revelation Sacred Lord. Countless cultivators reported their names one after another, and then they bowed respectfully to Jingming. Although Jingming's plan had never been announced to the world, the fact that the 5 sect masters of the 5 great vassal sects had personally come to the Great Revelation Sacred Ground naturally revealed some unusual information. Countless experts in the world had already gathered at the Great Revelation Sacred Ground. In the previous battles, the experts of the various sects had never revealed themselves. Because of that, countless experts had witnessed this shocking palm strike. Since Jingming had spoken, who would dare to hide? In an instant, about 30 experts spoke and bowed to Jingming. Jingming's phantom looked around with a cold expression. In the Great Revelation Sacred Ground, if you are a dragon, coil up for me. If you are a tiger, lie down for me. As long as I am here, you will always be the second in the world. Jingming said coldly. As long as I am here, you will always be the second in the world. King of Gaia's face was bitter. How could he fight for the number one in the world now? Just a mere projection had suppressed him to the point that he could not resist. What could he use to fight with Jingming? Yes. Countless experts responded at the same time. With a flick of his sleeve, Jingming turned his head away. At the same time, the phantom slowly dissipated, as if he had never been there. Leaving behind a group of shocked experts who were reminiscing about Jingming's strength. A peerless expert, the number one in the world. With such strength, who could contend against him? Challenging the number one in the world? The experts of the various sects all stopped the ripples in their hearts. Jingming left, but his final words lingered in everyone's ears for a long time. It was as if he had suppressed everyone in the world to the point that they could not breathe. As long as I am here, you will always be the second in the world. Chapter 881. As long as I'm here, you'll always be second in the world. Jingming left, but these words reverberated in the minds of the powerhouses for a long time. This wasn't arrogance. After that palm strike, who would dare to say that Jingming was arrogant? King of Gaia had suppressed the 7 upper emptiness realm experts. But even such a peerless figure couldn't withstand a single strike from Jingming. No, that was just a projection of Jingming. At this moment, Yan Chuan finally understood why Jingming killed Kong Xianshui in the Divine Sect's sacred grounds from 100 million miles away. She even killed one of the great palace masters. None of the experts in the Divine Sect's sacred grounds dared to refute. Because she was number one in the world. No matter if you were a sacred ground or not, if you dared to make an enemy out of her, she could destroy you all by herself. King of Gai stood up with difficulty and watched as Jing Ming disappeared. His heart was cold. He thought that after entering the mortal realm from the immortal realm, he would be invincible. But now, was it his turn to be invincible? Jing Ming. How could this world be more terrifying than the immortal realm? Did he come to the wrong place? Your Majesty, let's retreat first. Snake Emperor said bitterly. King of Gai nodded, pulled Snake Emperor up and flew into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. King of Gai left. Maori, Yu Yu, Supreme Lan Yu and the other Upper Emptiness Realm experts were also in shock. The 7 of them only knew that Jing Ming was strong, but they never knew her limits. Even the 7 of them were proud and complacent. The Sacred Master was an Upper Emptiness Realm expert, and they were also Upper Emptiness Realm experts. Even if they couldn't beat the Sacred Master, they shouldn't be too far apart, right? But now, wasn't it too far apart? Especially Mohina Dojin, thinking back to 2 years ago when he schemed against Mo Shi, causing Jing Ming to be unhappy, he broke out in cold sweat. Let's go back. Supreme Lan Yu said. Everyone nodded. At this moment, the 7 of them naturally couldn't stay here any longer. Although Jing Ming proved the strength of the great sacred grounds, the 7 of them had embarrassed themselves. 7 Upper Emptiness Realm experts were almost killed. The 7 of them soared into the sky and quickly flew towards the north. Before flying away, Mohina Dojin and Dao Lord Yu Yu took another deep look at Yan Chuan and their eyes flashed with indignation. At this moment, the experts of the various sects also recovered from the shock. Each of them had a lingering fear in their hearts. They looked at each other and then quickly flew in all directions. The experts of the various sects had to send the news back to their sects as soon as possible. The might of the most powerful person in the world was too great. Bai Ditian took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "What a powerful Jingming. Just like the Blade Demon back then, he is also extremely domineering." Blade Demon? The strongest person in the world 10,000 years ago? Yan Chuan asked in a deep voice. That's right. Back then, the Saber Demon dominated the world for the same reason. I am the only one in the world. Bai Ditian nodded. Your Majesty, the Heaven Calamity mountain range has sunk 3,000 feet. Will Meng Wenrua and Su Sanyang? Jin Dayu frowned and said. Jing Ming's palm did not press on the Heaven Calamity acupoint. Mr. Monroe's Heaven Calamity acupoint has sunk 3,000 feet, not 3,000 feet. He should be fine. Moreover, he is only a shell now. It's fine. Bai Ditian, I'll have to trouble you and Qing Long to continue protecting them for a while. Jin Dayu and I will go out for a few days. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Bai Ditian nodded. Yan Chuan quickly flew into the sky with Jin Dayu. Your Majesty, where are we going? Jin Dayu asked curiously. Follow me to purify all the zombies. You will protect me. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Chapter 882. Yes. Jin Dayu nodded. Although King Gai did not die under Jing Ting's palm strike, Yan Chuan was certain that King Gai must have been severely injured. How could he have the time to care about the zombies now? He could only let Yan Chuan take advantage of the situation. It was not that Yan Chuan was copying the wisdom of others, but Yan Chuan had to increase his cultivation as soon as possible. With the appearance of these powerful people, Yan Chuan's desire to become stronger became more and more urgent. Facing the Snake Emperor, Yan Chuan could still remain calm. Against King Gai, Yan Chuan's current cultivation base was far inferior. What more the strongest person in the world, Jing Ting? The moment Jing Ting appeared, all the sects in the world were subdued. Right now, strength was the most important guarantee. Lan Yu sect. When Yan Chuan arrived at Lan Yu sect, there were piles of zombies all around. Roar! Ah! Woo! The zombies wandered aimlessly in all directions. God's sword formation. Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold as the god's sword in his hand flew out quickly. Bang! As soon as the formation appeared, a white light immediately enveloped the surroundings. Ah! Roar! Countless zombies were purified, and their souls were released from their bodies. All of them bowed respectfully to Yan Chuan. These souls did not know that a part of their vitality had been taken away by Yan Chuan. The more zombies there were, the more Yan Chuan's birth chart increased. Without much time to increase his cultivation, Yan Chuan tried his best to absorb as much birth chart power as possible. Rumble. After 3 whole days, all the zombies in Lan Yu sect were finally purified. With a flip of his hand, a large amount of soil flew into the sky. Yan Chuan buried the countless corpses. Let's go to the next city. Yan Chuan said. Yes. A ruler and a vassal quickly flew to the surrounding cities. Zombies invaded all the major cities. Usually, a zombie's corpse poison could infect an entire city. After spending 2 months, Yan Chuan went to 8 cities and purified all the zombies that had gathered. At the same time, Yan Chuan's birth chart power skyrocketed. After returning to the Heaven Tribulation mountain range, Yan Chuan quickly went into seclusion. Jin Dayu had plundered a large number of spirit stones from the 8 major cities, which were all used by Yan Chuan to improve his cultivation. 4th level lower void stage. 5th level lower void stage. 6th level lower void stage. 7th level lower void stage. 8th level of the lower void stage. 9th level lower void stage. The 10th level of the lower void stage. During this month of time, Yan Chuan's cultivation shot up and arrived at the 10th level of the lower void stage in the blink of an eye. As for the spirit stones, he had used up as much as a mountain. However, it was all worth it. He only needed an opportunity to reach the middle emptiness realm. With regards to Yan Chuan's sudden increase in cultivation, Jin Dayu was dumbfounded. However, Bai Ditian did not think much of it. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Jin Dayu said in a daze. However, Yan Chuan was not complacent. He had not recovered his cultivation from his previous life, so there was nothing to be proud of. It's been more than 2 years. It's almost time. Let's go and wake Mr. Monroe up. Yan Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Yes. Jin Dayu's eyes lit up. Yan Chuan did not hide the fact that he had dreamt of the heaven's secret art from Jin Dayu. This was because Yan Chuan might bring all his officials to dreamt of the heaven's secret art in the future. However, in Jin Dayu's opinion, this was Yan Chuan's extreme trust in him. At the same time, Jin Dayu was also curious about the heaven's secret art. In the Heaven Tribulation Meridian, Yan Chuan, Jin Dayu, and Bai Ditian looked at the huge coffin. Just like 2 years ago, Mr. Monroe and Su Sanyang were still lying in the coffin. Yan Chuan grabbed the black banner at the side. He waved the black banner at the coffin. Yan Chuan shouted loudly. Soul, return. Chapter 883. Soul, come back. Following Yan Chuan's loud shout, the black banner in his hand began to flutter without any wind, making rustling sounds in his heavenly tribulation acupoint. In the heaven's calamity meridian, black fog rose up in an instant. The black fog spun violently, forming a suction force that sucked in things from the outside world. Who? Suddenly, a green light rushed in. Yan Chuan could clearly see that it was Meng Wenrua's soul. It was sucked in by the black fog and instantly rushed into Meng Wenrua's body. Who? Another Meng Wenrua's soul flew over and entered the body. Huff! 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 Surrounded by the black fog, one soul after another rushed into the heavenly calamity acupoint and into the bodies of Su Sanyang and Meng Wenruo. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of souls returned to their bodies. Boom! The black fog dispersed. The black fog dispersed. Yan Chuan, Jin Dayu, and Bai Ditian stared at the two people in the coffin. Meng Wenruo was still holding Su Sanyang's hand. After waiting for half an hour, Meng Wenruo finally raised her eyebrows slightly. Yan Chuan removed the black jade talisman from Meng Wenruo's forehead. Who? Meng Wenruo and Su Sanyang opened their eyes almost at the same time. Since they had just woken up, the two of them were in a daze. Gradually, they regained consciousness and stood up. Meng Wenruo looked at Su Sanyang tenderly. Su Sanyang looked at Meng Wenruo in a daze. 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of her eyes. Slap! Su Sanyang slapped Meng Wenruo's face. Meng Wenruo, you're despicable. Su Sanyang cried. Meng Wenruo's expression changed. If it was in the past, she would definitely not refute it. But at this moment, Meng Wenruo gritted her teeth and said, "No, third madam, you know better than anyone that if Taoist Lord Yu hadn't forcefully captured you all those years ago, you would already be my wife." You! Su Sanyang cried as she looked at Meng Wenruo. You know what? What did my father say before he died? He said he was sorry. He didn't forget what happened back then. He felt guilty because he couldn't preside over our wedding. I will pamper you no matter what decision you make. However, father has already passed away. He couldn't let go even before he passed away. As a child, I was unfilial when I was alive. When I made this decision, it was also very difficult for me. I didn't want to destroy your happiness, but father's final wish gave me the courage. Even if I have to die 10,000 times, I will not hesitate. Now that things have come to this, if you can't let it go, then just kill me. Everything will just be a dream. I will not fight back. Meng Wenruo closed her eyes. Su Sanyang covered her nose and looked at Meng Wenruo with red eyes. Yan Chuan, Jin Dayu, and Bai Ditian had already left the Heaven Tribulation acupoint. Your Majesty, it's a success. Jin Dayu said excitedly. Dreaming of the secrets of heaven, so it's true. Yan Chuan also muttered to himself. If the dream of heavenly secrets was real, then the other universe in the palm was also real? Everyone waited outside the cave for an hour. Su Sanyang suddenly rushed out of the cave and flew toward the south. At this time, Wenruo slowly came out of the cave. Her eyes were slightly red. Wenruo, how did it go? Yan Chuan asked. Su Sanyang took my father's coffin and went to the Julu Academy. She didn't want to go with me. It seems that I really hurt her too much. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. Back to the Julu Academy? Not back to the Dazhao Holy Ground. Yan Chuan's eyes lit up. Yes. Wenruo smiled bitterly. Jin Dayu, go and protect Su Sanyang. Don't let anything happen to her. Protect her secretly and escort her back to the Julu Academy. Yan Chuan ordered. Chapter 884. Yes, Your Majesty. Jin Dayu chased after him. Thank you, Your Majesty. Mr. Monroe said respectfully. Wenruo, what have you experienced in the past 2 years? Yan Chuan asked in a deep voice. Reporting to Your Majesty, dreaming of the mysteries of heaven is truly miraculous. Sanyang and I, each divided into 100 parts and experienced 100 lives for more than 2 years. This is equivalent to living together for more than 200 years. Meng Wenruo said solemnly. Oh. How's your cultivation base? Yan Chuan asked solemnly. My cultivation base hasn't changed, but I feel that my soul has become stronger. Perhaps even the ethereal power of my birth chart has become stronger. It's as if I can break through as long as I have enough primal chi of heaven and earth. Meng Wenruo said in surprise. Really? Good. Yan Chuan's eyes lit up. Meng Wenruo, hear the decree. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Your Majesty. Meng Wenruo said respectfully. From today onward, I appoint Meng Wenruo as the commander of the 4th Army of the Great Jin Dynasty. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Thank you, Your Majesty. Meng Wenruo said respectfully. Wenruo, you should go after Su Sanyang now. I know that this is your obsession. You were helpless in the past, but now you have a chance to redeem yourself. I hope you cherish it. Yan Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Yes, Your Majesty. Meng Wenruo said respectfully. Jin Dayu will follow you for the time being. He has already ascended to the Void Realm and can protect you for the time being. Quickly go after Su Sanyang. Yan Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Thank you, Your Majesty. Meng Wenruo said emotionally. Meng Wenruo took a step forward and flew into the sky. He quickly chased after her. After watching Meng Wenruo leave, Bai Ditian fell into deep thought. The dream of heavenly secrets was too strange. Bai Ditian, how's your investigation going? Yan Chuan looked at Bai Ditian curiously. Just as you think, Jingsheng's every word and action can affect the entire world. Especially when Jingsheng killed Kong Xianshui and took the Great World suppressing steel and invaded the Central Divine Continent. All the sensitive cultivators in the world sensed that something was amiss. Although they came later than us, many sects came and hid in the dark, Bai Ditian said in a low voice. And? Bai Ditian sucked in a deep breath and said, King Gayan and the Snake Emperor are severely injured. Right now, they are being pursued by the powerful practitioners of the various sects. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said, King Gaio can be considered a powerful monarch. Unfortunately, his luck was not good and he met Jing Ming. Do we still need to keep an eye on him? Bai Ditian asked curiously. Yes, they have the zombie, origin poison, in their hands. Back then, a portion of the origin poison created 30 million zombies. At the same time, it also caused my cultivation base to soar. Now that they are being hunted down by the various sects, we won't make a difference. Let's do our best to snatch the origin poison, Yan Chuan said with certainty. Bai Ditian nodded. I'll have to trouble you with this matter. Yan Chuan said solemnly. It's no problem. Helping you is helping me. Once I become strong, I will be able to find my son, Bai Tu Shi, faster. Bai Ditian said with a smile. Bai Tu Shi. Ha, you don't have to worry about him. He is a peerless killing god. He will take care of himself. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Bai Ditian nodded. Bai Ditian stepped into the sky and flew off in search of King Gayan. Yan Chuan sucked in a deep breath and looked up at the sky. As long as I am around, you will always be the second most powerful person in the world. Jing Ming's words were still fresh in the minds of the various sects, and so was Yan Chuan. Is this what it means to be the most powerful person in the world? Yan Chuan's eyes narrowed. Compared to me, you only have more time. I have the heavenly secret dreamer poison. I will definitely catch up to you in no time. In the future, I will personally experience what it means to be the most powerful person in the world. Yan Chuan said with a serious look in his eyes. Chapter 885. Suppressing his desire to battle, Yan Chuan stepped out of the crater that Jing Ting had created. After flying out of the crater, he met up with Qing Long suddenly. A few streaks of light flew towards them. Hades Emperor, the Holy Lady is here. No, the Tao Lord is here. Qing Long exclaimed. In the distance, Mo Yushi led by Long, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, and the 4 Tiger Tribe formidable martial artists who had followed them previously. They quickly flew towards Yan Chuan. Yushi, why are you here? Yan Chuan's expression changed. Wasn't she called over by Shangguan to learn something and couldn't be with Yan Chuan? Mo Yushi's eyes flashed with deep emotion. I begged Lady Shangguan, and she agreed to let me come. I'll accompany you for the rest of the time. Mo Yushi said gently. Mo Yushi's expression was slightly unnatural, but Yan Chuan still nodded. Everyone retreated a distance, leaving Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi alone. Did something happen? Yan Chuan asked gently. No, I just missed you and came to see you. Mo Yushi said with a smile. However, Yan Chuan could see that Mo Yushi's smile was a little bitter. Yan Chuan didn't ask further. Instead, he made arrangements for Qing Long and the others. Some stayed behind, while others followed. This would allow him to contact Bai Ditian at any time. Yan Chuan accompanied Mo Yushi. Mo Yushi seemed to have changed into a different person. She held Yan Chuan's hand and walked around the nearest city. They walked past many shops. She looked at this elixir and then at that Dharma treasure. Does this hairpin look good? Mo Yushi asked. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded and tossed a spirit stone to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper thanked him and bought the hairpin. Just like that, Yan Chuan accompanied Mo Yushi to shop for the whole day. That night, they stayed at a manor that Qing Long had already prepared. Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi also stayed there. In a large hall, Yan Chuan was accompanying Mo Yushi. Mo Yushi was happily counting the high-grade goods she had bought today. I bought a lot today. Mo Yushi smiled. Yan Chuan accompanied him quietly. As she watched, Mo Yushi suddenly felt a lump in her throat and her eyes reddened. Yushi, what's wrong? Yan Chuan gently grabbed Mo Yushi's arm. Looking at Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi hugged Yan Chuan and suddenly started sobbing. Seeing Mo Yushi's abnormal behavior, Yan Chuan frowned but still hugged Mo Yushi gently. I'm here. It's okay. What happened? Yan Chuan asked gently. There are still 5 months. In 5 months, on the 9th day of the 9th month, my mother will take the heaven's seal. Mo Yushi said sadly. The 9th day of the 9th month? Yan Chuan's expression changed. As I told you last time, this world was originally part of the immortal realm. It was sealed by Goddess Jichen with a Dao seal. This time, my mother reincarnated into this world in order to obtain Goddess Jichen's Dao seal. Mo Yushi nodded. You said that Jingming was from the immortal realm and reincarnated into this world? Yan Chuan asked in a low voice. Miss Shangguan said that no one from the immortal realm could take Goddess Jichen's Dao seal. Even if they broke into this world, it would be useless. Only the native creatures of this world can take it. That's why my mother reincarnated into this world. My mother already had a foundation in the immortal realm. Shangguan Wan, and Yuan Tian Gang, who just came, are all my mother's subjects. Mo Yushi said, sniffling. Jingming? What's her name in the immortal realm? Yan Chuan asked curiously. Wu Zhao. Chapter 886. Wu Zhong. Yan Chuan frowned in deep thought. Yan Chuan did not have this name in his mind. In his previous life, his foundation was only in the Celestial Empire. His understanding of the world was limited. Since he had never heard of it, Wu Zhong's foundation must be in the immortal realm, which was quite far from here. Mo Yushi hugged Yan Chuan tightly. Her body trembled slightly. Yan Chuan stroked Mo Yushi's long hair and said softly, Yushi, why are you sad? Mo Yushi suddenly raised her head and looked at Yan Chuan. Her eyes flashed with determination. Kiss Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan stared. He did not expect Mo Yushi to be so bold. At the same time, Yan Chuan also guessed that Mo Yushi's mood was extremely bad right now. When it came to relationships, Yan Chuan wasn't very good at it. However, as long as it was a relationship that Yan Chuan approved of, Yan Chuan would protect it. It was just like in his previous life, when there was only one empress, Zhenrou. As an emperor, Yan Chuan could be considered an extremely weird existence. In this life, although he did not go around looking for trouble, but when feelings came, Yan Chuan did not reject them. Yan Chuan had already tacitly accepted Mo Yushi in his heart. Moreover, Mo Yushi also had deep feelings for him. Yan Chuan would not be pretentious. He hugged Mo Yushi even tighter. The two of them blended together. A night of rain mixed together, a night of spring cries filled the garden. A group of guards had already retreated from the villa, guarding the four corners of the villa. The two of them were left alone to enjoy the fruits of love that they had gained over many years. The next morning, Yan Chuan was lying on the bed with Mo Yushi curled up beside him. Yan Chuan was lying on the bed. The countless folds on the bedsheet and the eye-catching pool of bright red told everything that had happened last night. Gently caressing Mo Yushi's hair, Mo Yushi unconsciously curled up. There were traces of tears at the corners of her eyes, but the corners of her mouth were slightly curved. With a faint smile, Yan Chuan waited patiently. An hour later, Mo Yushi's eyelashes fluttered. His eyes slowly opened. The moment he opened his eyes, he seemed to have sensed something and immediately closed them again. "All right, are you awake?" Yan Chuan asked gently. Mo Yushi replied with a red face. Although she was extremely shy, at this moment, Mo Yushi hugged her even tighter. "Can you tell me now? What happened last night?" Yan Chuan asked curiously. "No, I'm fine now." Mo Yushi shook her head. "You're fine. But I'm even more interested to know," Yan Chuan said curiously. The corners of Mo Yushi's mouth curled up. Looking at Yan Chuan, a trace of gentleness flashed across her eyes, followed by a trace of mockery. "All right, if you want to know, I'll tell you." Mo Yushi teased. "Oh. Do you still remember the time when Shen Guanwan said in front of you that my father was mother's gigolo?" Mo Yushi smiled. "Don't you want me to comfort you?" Yan Chuan's expression changed. "Of course, that's not all. I only found out about it from Shen Guanwan later. You almost caught the Holy Master's eye and almost became his concubine." Mo Yushi teased. Yan Chuan's face darkened. Nyang nyang. No matter how good Yan Chuan's self-control was, he almost cursed it out loud. "Shen Guanwan is my mother's confidant. Many things are handled by Shen Guanwan Last time, I said it in front of you so that you would know." Mo Yushi teased. "Yan Chuan. What do you think?" Mo Yushi teased. "What do I think? I, Yan Chuan, am a man. How can I be humiliated like this? Even if I die, I won't." Yan Chuan was speechless. Chapter 887. Mo Yushi leaned her face against Yan Chuan's chest and said, "You don't have to worry now. You and I are husband and wife, and the Holy Lord has given up on this idea." Yan Chuan's expression was still unfriendly. Clearly, he was in a bad mood because of Jingming's attitude. "Her Highness." What a joke. Yan Chuan's expression turned cold. "I have wronged Miss Shangguan in the past. Actually, she has been taking good care of me all these years. This time, she asked me to come here and give up the idea of the Holy Lord. Actually, she did it on purpose." Yan Chuan caressed Mo Yushi's body and nodded. "If I have the chance in the future, I will help you repay her." Mo Yushi nodded. "But why would Jingming like me?" Yan Chuan asked solemnly. "Miss Shangguan said that you look like a person." Mo Yushi recalled. "Like a person?" Yan Chuan asked curiously. "To be precise, it should be a statue. Miss Shangguan said that in her hometown, my mother led a few people and opened a tomb. In the tomb, there were 3,000 terracotta soldiers and a heavenly inscription. My mother obtained the heavenly inscription and ushered in the path of immortal cultivation. The head of the terracotta soldiers and horses looked very similar to you, so. She recalled. Very similar. There are too many people in the world who look alike. Maybe she saw wrongly. Your mother opened a tomb and then embarked on the path of immortal cultivation. Was that an immortal's tomb? Yan Chuan asked curiously. I'm not sure. Miss Shengguan said that the tomb was called the first emperor's tomb. I don't know anything else. She shook her head. Yes, immortal cultivation requires luck. It is also the opportunity to embark on the path of immortal cultivation. Everyone has their own immortal fate. I have also had immortal fate. However, immortal fate is only the foundation. It does not have much to do with the future. It only helps you embark on the path of immortal cultivation. After this battle, I may have to leave with my mother. She took a deep breath. Leave? It's fine if your mother failed, but if she succeeded, why do you want to leave? Isn't it good to stay in Dezhen? Yan Chuan asked gently. She looked at Yan Chuan and shook her head. I'll only be a burden to you. She. How can that be? Yan Chuan also shook his head. She shook her head. No, in the past, there would be no burden. But now, there is. Because I'm Jingming's, no, Wu Jiong's daughter, and I've been acknowledged by Wu Jiong. Miss Shengguan said that my mother founded an empire and is extremely powerful. However, she has many enemies. If I stay, my mother's enemies will come for you. Neither of us will be safe. Don't worry. I'll protect you. Yan Chuan said firmly. I'll leave with my mother. I'll think of a way to strengthen myself. When the time comes, when both of us are strong, I'll come for you. Yushi will never change her mind about you in this life. This time, let me make the decision, alright? Yushi looked at Yan Chuan earnestly. Taking a deep breath, Yan Chuan hugged Yushi tightly. He was touched. Moreover, my mother wants to take me away this time. No one can stop her. Yushi said weakly. Yan Chuan's eyes narrowed slightly. He took a deep breath and said, one day, I'll hold up the sky for you. I'll protect you, and I'll protect you as you wish. Yes. Yushi's eyes flashed with deep love. From today onwards, Yushi is the Empress of Dezhen. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Dezhen Dynasty. Above the Sea of Providence. Boom. The Sea of Providence churned violently. Another person. Lu Gang looked at the churning Sea of Providence in the sky. Yesterday, it should be the army commander. If I'm not wrong, it should be Mr. Monroe. Yifeng laughed. What about today? It should be the Empress, right? Lu Gang laughed. The Emperor is now in the Dezhou sacred ground. The Empress is most likely Yushi, the Saintess. Yifeng nodded. In the palace of Dezhen. ZZ looked at the sky and frowned slightly. Soon, she seemed to have thought of something. The frown disappeared and she smiled mysteriously. Meow, Sister ZZ, what's wrong? Meow jumped over. Nothing. ZZ shook her head. Dezhen Dynasty, Yan Ho's residence. Yan Qiuyu looked up at the sky. A black-robed figure stood behind Yan Ho. Who is it? The black-robed figure asked. It should be another empress. Yan Qiuyu said in a low voice. Empress? Ha, Yan Chuan is really thoughtful. The black-robed figure sneered. Yes. Yan Qiuyu nodded. Yan Qiuyu, don't worry. With our help, the Jin dynasty will definitely be yours. The black-robed figure said confidently. Thank you very much. Yan Qiuyu smiled. The black-robed figure nodded and then walked away. Looking at the back of the black-robed figure, Yan Qiuyu had a complicated expression. It was confirmed that Mo Yushi was going to leave. Yan Chuan also spent more time with Mo Yushi. He accompanied Mo Yushi to go shopping and saw some strange sights. The relationship between the two grew deeper. De Zhao's sacred ground, beside the celestial phenomenon pond. Shengguanwan looked at the celestial phenomenon pond. Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi were leaning against each other and fishing in the river. Looking at the scene, Shengguanwan smiled. She waved her hand and the scene of the celestial phenomenon pond disappeared. She turned and walked out of the hall. Outside the hall, Yuan Tiangang was in white. He pinched his fingers and looked up at the sky as if he was calculating something. Seeing Shengguanwan coming out of the hall, Yuan Tiangang smiled and said, "Lord Shengguan, you seem to be taking care of Princess Yushi." "I watched Princess Yushi grow up. She is also the daughter of the Holy Lord. It's nothing for me to dote on her more." "Lord Yuan, you have been here for several months. Have you finished calculating?" Shengguanwan asked curiously. "Take the yin and leave the yang. We only need to wait for the 9th day of the 9th month." Yuan Tiangang said solemnly. "Take the yin and leave the yang." Yes, the Holy Lord is a man of great talent. He will definitely succeed in taking the Tao seal. The day of the Holy Lord becoming the Heavenly Emperor is just around the corner. Yuan Tiangang took a deep breath and said, "Yes, the first female Heavenly Emperor in history. Ha, let's go and see the Holy Lord." Shengguanwan nodded. Yes. The fish floated and a big fish was pulled out of the river by Yan Chuan. I'll do it. Mo Yushi immediately stood up and took the big fish excitedly. With the two's skills, catching fish was easy. It was just that fishing had a more peaceful atmosphere. Yan Chuan smiled. Whoosh! A white figure flew over. It was Bai Ditian. Found it? Yan Chuan asked curiously. The King of Gaio and the Snake Emperor are trapped. Bai Ditian took a deep breath and said, "Oh." Yan Chuan's eyes lit up. Chapter 888. Nyoibo Studio, King Gaio and Snake Emperor are trapped. Bai Ditian took a deep breath and said, "Oh." Yan Chuan's eyes lit up. Jing Ming's attack was indeed powerful. Although King Gaio did not die, he was severely injured. His strength has decreased by more than half. He is currently trapped in Baigu Mountain by the Divine Sect Sacred Ground, Thousand Buddhist Sacred Ground, and dozens of other middle sects. Bai Ditian said with certainty. 3 great sacred grounds in the world. Great Zhao, Divine Sect, Thousand Buddha. Even the Thousand Buddha Sacred Ground in the West has sent people here. Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. That's right. Perhaps Emperor Mo Ku has also come to the east. Bai Ditian nodded. Emperor Mo Ku. Kong Mo Ku was the real culprit who had forced Yan Chuan's parents to their deaths. Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. Turning his head, Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi and said, "Yushi, wait for me here. I'll be back as soon as possible." "I'll go with you." Mo Yushi immediately shouted. Together? Yan Chuan was slightly worried. It's the last few months. I don't want to be separated from you." Mo Yushi nodded stubbornly. Seeing Mo Yushi's insistence, Yan Chuan finally nodded. All right. He gave instructions to Qing Long and the rest. Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, and Bai Ditian quickly flew towards the southwest. Flying in the air. Baigu Mountain. Is there anything special about that place? Yan Chuan asked as he flew. I know about that. Mo Yushi's expression suddenly changed. Oh. Mo Yushi explained, Feng Shui Southern Sect and Feng Shui Northern Sect once fought a fierce battle there. Legend has it that during that battle, the two feng shui sects deployed countless Yin soldiers from the netherworld. In the end, both sides suffered heavy losses. Since then, the southern sect and the northern sect have drawn a clear line between themselves. One south, one north, and the other south, and no one has dared to invade their territory. Although the southern sect and the northern sect have left, countless skeletons were left on the battlefield. At the same time, Yin energy filled the air, and evil energy wreaked havoc. White Bone Mountain. The raging Yin Qi is just what the king of Gaia wants. Yan Chuan nodded. The three of them flew for 2 days. Soon. We will be there in 10 more hours. Bai Ditian said after taking a deep breath. Wait. Yan Chuan's expression froze. This was because Yan Chuan saw a mountain range in the distance that was emitting golden light. Endless Sanskrit chants soared into the sky. Sanskrit? Buddhist light? Yan Chuan's eyes narrowed. It should be the people from the 1000 Buddha sacred ground. Bai Ditian said in a low voice. Let's go and take a look. Yan Chuan immediately shouted. The three of them quickly flew towards the valley and arrived in front of it in the blink of an eye. In front of them was a mountain peak, where 3 monks in kasayas stood. In the valley, there were many circles of light that looked like compasses. They were constantly squeezing the brightest yellow spot in the center. In each circle, there were many monks emitting golden light. There were more than 500 of them. Each of them was holding different Dharma treasures and chanting Sanskrit. They formed a large array that suppressed a white-robed figure in the center. The Empress? Mo Yushi exclaimed in surprise. In the center, trapped by the large array, was the daughter of the saber demon, the Empress. The Empress held a long saber in her hand. Her eyes were cold, but the yellow light around her was too bright. It was as if the surrounding space had been frozen. The Empress, who was in the yellow light, could not move at all. Ka ka ka. The Empress kept twisting in her hand, but she was still unable to move the frozen space around her. On the mountain peak beside them, there were 3 monks in kasayas. Yan Chuan actually knew the leader. It was the wise Bodhisattva who had invaded Beijing in the past. Unfortunately, he was defeated by Yan Chuan and was later rescued by Tao Lord Yu Yu. Chapter 889. The Great Wisdom Bodhisattva smiled and said, the daughter of the Blade Demon? Ha, I didn't expect that. If Master didn't recognize you, who would know that you are the daughter of the strongest person in the world 10,000 years ago? Since you are still alive, the Blade Demon must have passed down his legacy to you. Hand it over. This is the 500 Arhat formation. You can't struggle. You still want to resist? The Great Wisdom Bodhisattva sneered. At the center of the 500 Arhat formation, the Emperor's eyes were cold as he looked at the Great Wisdom Bodhisattva with hatred. Roar! The Emperor roared, but he wasn't willing to submit. The Great Wisdom Bodhisattva's face darkened as his eyes turned colder. My master has gone to the White Bone Mountain. When he returns, let's see how long you can last. Who is your master? Suddenly, a shout came from behind the Great Wisdom Bodhisattva. Eh! The 3 monks in kasayas immediately turned their heads. Yan Chuan. It's you. The Great Wisdom Bodhisattva's face changed. Following which, the Great Wisdom Bodhisattva's panicked expression was replaced by excitement. Ha 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 ha, Yan Chuan, this isn't your great Jin Empire. You can't use the Golden Dragon's providence. I didn't look for you, but you sent yourself to me. The Great Wisdom Bodhisattva laughed. As he spoke, the Great Wisdom Bodhisattva pounced towards Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan looked on coldly as his expression changed slightly. Bai Ditian, who was at the side, made his move. Pa! A white light flashed, and Bai Ditian returned to his original position as if he hadn't moved at all. As for the Great Wisdom Bodhisattva, he smashed into the ground like a stone. Boom! A huge pit appeared on the ground. The other 2 monks in Kasayas. The 500 arhats. The emperor. The great wisdom bodhisattva crawled out of the pit in fear. He was in a sorry state as he looked at Yen Chuan in shock. How? The 2 monks in Kasayas looked as if they were facing a great enemy. The 2 monks each took out a circular artifact and looked at Yen Chuan and company warily. Who? The white light appeared again. Pa! The 2 monks wearing Kasayas immediately smashed towards the great wisdom bodhisattva at an extremely fast speed. Boom! Boom! The crater once again doubled in size. Bai Ditian did not stop as he struck the 500 arhat formation with his palm. Hong! In the valley, it was as if a shockwave had been smashed out, and the surrounding mountains were instantly flattened by this huge force. Ah! Poof! The 500 arhats were blasted away, and they all coughed up blood and collapsed in the ruins. After Bai Ditian finished fighting, he returned to Yen Chuan's side. However, Yen Chuan reached out and waved his hand, pulling the emperor over. Clang! The emperor was incomparably weak. He propped himself up with his broadsword and looked at Yen Chuan with a complicated expression. Thank you. The emperor took a deep breath and said solemnly. Although it was Bai Ditian who had helped, the emperor knew who he should thank. The emperor did not have any relationship with Bai Ditian. It must have been Yen Chuan who asked him to help. Why were you trapped by this group of rascals? Also, don't you have a divine ability? Yen Chuan asked curiously. The emperor felt slightly bitter as he shook his head and said, Unfortunately, I was ambushed by Relic Buddha. Oh? Yen Chuan asked curiously. I came here this time to look for Jingming and ask about what happened back then, but on the way, I met Relic Buddha. 7,000 years ago, I met him once. At that time, he was only at the Qi state. At that time, he admired the undying sacred land very much and tried to curry favor with me. I didn't expect him to be so sinister. He said that he knew the cause of my father's death, so I believed him. What poison were you poisoned with? Yen Chuan asked. Blood-crisping fruit poison. The emperor said solemnly. Blood-crisping fruit poison. Fortunately, it's still within my detoxification range. Don't move. Yen Chuan said. As he spoke, a black vine suddenly emerged from Yen Chuan's sleeve and stretched towards the emperor's forehead. The emperor instinctively dodged, but when he saw Yen Chuan's gaze, he immediately took a deep breath and stopped moving. The black vine touched the emperor's forehead, and immediately, a stream of black gas was extracted from the emperor's forehead. The poison is really gone. The emperor's face unconsciously revealed a trace of excitement. Keeping the long vine, Yen Chuan smiled and said, It's not easy to see your smile. After all, Yen Chuan had never seen the emperor smile before. This was the first time. Hearing Yen Chuan's words, the emperor's face turned serious, and his original smile disappeared. Seeing the emperor's serious expression in the blink of an eye, Yen Chuan smiled bitterly. Thank you. The emperor said solemnly. All right, this is nothing. We still have things to do, so I'll leave this to you. Yen Chuan said. All right. The emperor was a man of few words. Oh, right. Are you looking for Jingming? On the 9th day of the 9th month, there will be a huge change in the Great Zhao sacred ground, and Jingming will definitely appear. At that time, you will be able to see her. Yen Chuan smiled. After speaking, Yen Chuan led Mo Yushi and Bai Ditian away again. Swish! The 3 of them flew far away in the blink of an eye. The emperor looked at Yen Chuan's back, and the corners of his mouth curled up again. It was obvious that he was in a good mood. After Yen Chuan left, the group of monks who had been severely injured by Bai Ditian immediately fled towards the west. The emperor turned his head, and his face turned cold. The long saber in his hand slashed towards the west. Boom! A vast saber aura descended from the sky, and the 10 monks at the front were instantly sliced in half. Blood splattered everywhere, and a 100-foot-long trench was left on the ground. The saber aura swept across, and all the monks' expressions changed. The saber aura had sealed off the escape route of hundreds of monks. How could they escape now? The monks looked at the emperor in fear. The emperor turned his head and looked coldly at the great wisdom bodhisattva. Saber demon's inheritance? How did you know? The emperor asked coldly. I don't know. I guessed it, the great wisdom bodhisattva immediately replied in fear. Obviously, the emperor wasn't satisfied with the answer. The emperor swung his saber. Thousands of sabers rained down from the sky. Boom! Ah! No! Save me! With a single saber, the 500 arhats were all sliced in half. The scene was horrifying. The great wisdom bodhisattva and the other 2 bodhisattvas looked at the emperor in shock. Previously, when the emperor was poisoned, the 3 of them didn't think that the emperor was scary. But now, killing 500 arhats with a single saber. Speak, the emperor said coldly. I'll fight it out with you. Zenith Buddha Palm, a bodhisattva roared. Shing! A green light flashed, and the struggling bodhisattva was sliced in half. Blood splattered on the faces of the great wisdom bodhisattva and the other bodhisattva. The 2 bodhisattvas shuddered. The great wisdom bodhisattva opened his mouth to speak. No, great wisdom bodhisattva, you can't speak, the other bodhisattva shouted. Shing! The bodhisattva's head instantly rolled to the great wisdom bodhisattva's feet. I'll speak, the great wisdom bodhisattva shouted. Chapter 890. Atlas Studios White Bone Mountain. The mountain stretched for thousands of kilometers. Corpses and bones rolled, and yin energy soared to the sky. Not only was there yin energy, but there was also a lot of filthy energy. Most cultivators were not willing to get close to this place to cultivate. This was because the filthy energy here had polluted even the primal energy of the world. If one cultivated with the filthy energy here, their bodies would rot and fill with pustules. The various large sects all distanced themselves from White Bone Mountain. However, at this moment, tens of thousands of cultivators surrounded White Bone Mountain. Countless cultivators stared at the center of White Bone Mountain, a valley of bones. 2 figures, one seated and one standing, stood in the center of the valley. The seated figure was the snake monarch. At this moment, blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth as he rapidly healed his injuries. The standing figure, however, was King Gaio. King Gaio no longer looked majestic. At this moment, most of his black robes were torn, revealing most of his white bones. Furthermore, many cracks had appeared on his white bones. The light in his eyes had dimmed significantly. King Gaio raised one hand to the sky. Surrounding the 2 was a huge barrier made of countless bones. Outside the barrier, golden light shone everywhere. Blue light pressed down. Beams of golden light shot in through the gaps in the bones, striking King Gaio's chest. However, King Gaio could not stop them. He allowed the golden light and blue light to strike his body. Roar! King Gaio roared sullenly at the sky. Ka! 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 The surrounding bone barrier pushed outwards. However, many cracks appeared on the countless bones. This emperor is not resigned to this. This emperor is not resigned to this. King Gaio roared at the sky. He felt exceptionally sorrowful. After arriving in this world, King Gaio thought that he was invincible and could challenge the capital. However, a mere projection severely injured him. It was one thing to be severely injured. However, many cultivators in this world took advantage of the situation to pursue him. Although King Gaio killed many of the people pursuing him, his injuries were too severe. Many cracks appeared on his white bones. He did not have any time to rest. Now, he was trapped here. Doing his best to support the bone barrier, King Gaio looked at the sky and lamented. Was he going to die here? Close to 10,000 cultivators stood on the surrounding mountains. Among them, there were dozens of Middle Void Realm experts. Previously, King Gaio could not be bothered to kill these people. However, these people now, with the formation of 2 Upper Void Realm cultivators, they gathered their strength, suppressing King Gaio. Roar! King Gaio felt incredibly sorrowful. The nearly 10,000 Shioja were led by 2 groups. It was a bald monk wearing a kasaya. His entire body radiated golden light and he held an alms bowl in his hand. Although the bald monk had a benevolent look on his face, he didn't hold back at all. The other one wore a blue Taoist robe and held a long sword in his hand. He slashed out rays of blue light towards the bone cage. Divine Sect Sacred Ground, Renshin Hall's Hall Master. 10,000 Buddha's Holy Ground, Relic Buddha. Roar, I have no enmity with all of you. Why did you set up a formation to kill me? King Guai said sullenly. Amateus Buddha, King Gaio, Great Calamity Heavenly Dynasty. We are very clear about the power of the Great Nightmare Heaven Empire. If we let you go today, you will definitely cause us endless trouble in the future. King Gaiyu, who asked you to provoke Jingming? You can't blame anyone. Your destiny is already exhausted. Stop struggling. The alms bowl in Relic Buddha's hand emitted an even brighter golden light. The tens of thousands of cultivators around did not stop moving their hands. Their strength followed the golden light released by the alms bowl and gathered towards King Guai. The other Renshin Palace Master also smiled and said, King Gaio, as long as you acknowledge me as your master, I can spare your life. Roar! Scoundrels! If I had not been injured by Jingming, I could crush all of you with one hand. Scoundrels! King Gaio roared. Chapter 891. The Ren God Temple Lord's face sank. How did you know? The surrounding cultivators looked over. King of Gai. Relic Buddha. The Ren God Temple Lord shook her head slightly, and a pair of huge rat ears popped out from her head. A rat's body also popped out from her mouth. Rat Demon. This was the first time everyone knew that the Ren God Temple Lord was actually a rat demon. Ren God Temple Lord, Ren Rat. I always thought this name was weird. So, you are really a rat. King of Gai was speechless. The surrounding cultivators were also speechless as they looked at Ren Rat. It seemed like King of Gai was right, he was indeed a rat. Ren Rat stroked his beard, and his eyes narrowed as he looked at King of Gai. Acknowledge me as your master, and I can save you. Relic Buddha frowned. Ren Rat, this ghost cannot be released. Relic Buddha, why not take him in instead of killing him? You and I will use our own methods. Whoever subdues King of Gai, he will belong to them. How about it? Ren Rat stroked his beard and said. Huh? Relic Buddha frowned. Relic Buddha originally wanted to kill King of Gai, but now he wanted to subdue him. How? King of Gai is arrogant and unruly. It is impossible to subdue him. Relic Buddha immediately shouted. Impossible? That is because you do not have the ability to subdue him. Ren Rat stroked his beard and said. Relic Buddha's expression was complicated. Are you kidding? How could he subdue him? Subduing him required him to be subdued. If he could not subdue him, what was the use of subduing him? Ren Rat squinted his eyes again and looked at King of Gai. King of Gai, as long as you agree, I will save you. Agree? Ha 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 ha, ha ha ha. King of Gai laughed loudly. Ren Rat's face suddenly turned serious. King of Gai, from today onwards, you will submit to me, Ren Rat. Are you willing? As soon as ninth rat finished speaking, the surrounding void suddenly shook, as if a contract had been formed out of thin air. However, this contract could not be seen clearly, nor could it be touched. When King of Gai heard Ren Rat's words, the fire in his eyes flickered. Earth Branch Leader Token. How do you know this ability? King of Gai suddenly exclaimed. King of Gai, from today onwards, you will submit to me. Are you willing? Rat's face once again sternly. What's going on? Even in the immortal world, it's hard to find an expert like Jing Ting. Even in the immortal world, it's hard to find such a terrifying divine ability. How is it possible that this world has it as well? King of Gai exclaimed. King Gai Yu, from today onwards, submit to me, Ren Shu. Are you willing? Ren Shu shouted again. Scoundrel, you want me, King Gai, to submit to you? Don't even think about it. King of Gai shouted coldly. Ren Rat's face sank. Since you don't want to submit, then die. This is the Great Demon Extermination Formation specially prepared for you. As long as either Relic Buddha or I use it, you'll definitely die. Let's see how long you can last. Kakakaka. Even if I die, I will not submit to a scoundrel like you. King of Gai roared. Boom. Boom. Although the bone cage was resisting, it was still unable to resist the demon extinguishing array of the experts. The bone cage continued to wear down. Even so, there were still large amounts of shockwaves that rushed towards King Gai Yu. Once the bone cage was broken, King Gai would definitely be killed. The pride of an emperor would not allow King of Gai to submit. King of Gai struggled bitterly. At this moment, King of Gai Yu was already filled with regret. Why did he come here to challenge the number one person? It was not King of Gai Yu's thoughts, but all the experts from the various factions in the world had the same thoughts. This King of Gai Yu must have lost his mind to challenge Jing Ting. Chapter 892. Swish. Just as the demon extermination array was suppressing King Gaitu, 3 streams of light suddenly shot over from afar. Everyone looked over in confusion. Huff. On the peak of a mountain, Yan Chuan, Mou Shi, and Bai Ditian suddenly appeared. Who are you? Do you want to kill King Gaitu too? Just follow us and pour your energy into the demon extermination array. An expert immediately shouted at Yan Chuan and the other two. It's you, Yan Chuan. Relic Buddha's expression changed. Yan Chuan. Everyone was shocked. Obviously, everyone had heard of Yan Chuan, but only a few had seen Yan Chuan's portrait. Yan Chuan. Ren Rat squinted his eyes. Yan Chuan ignored everyone and looked into the valley. King Gaitu, the ruler of a celestial empire, had fallen to such a state. Snake Emperor. Yan Chuan suddenly shouted. When Yan Chuan shouted, the Snake Emperor, who was sitting cross-legged in the barrier, opened his eyes slightly. There was a trace of coldness in the Snake Emperor's eyes, as well as a trace of doubt. Zombie poison. Give me the origin poison and I will save you. Yan Chuan said. Everyone's expression changed. Origin poison. I will save you. Yan Chuan wanted to make an enemy out of everyone here. How dare you, Yan Chuan? You want to make an enemy out of all the sects? A cultivator immediately shouted. Yan Chuan, you want to make an enemy out of our celestial sects? A subordinate beside Ren Rat immediately shouted. Yan Chuan, think carefully. If you dare to help King Gaitu, you will be making an enemy out of our 10,000 Buddha celestial grounds. Relic Buddha said coldly. Although they didn't know if Yan Chuan had the ability to do so, they didn't want to complicate things when they were about to kill King Gaitu. The Snake Emperor looked at Yan Chuan in disbelief. Cough, cough, cough. Why? A few months ago, he was still fighting with Yan Chuan to the death. There is no enmity between us, is there? Yan Chuan smiled. The Serpent Emperor revealed a look of bewilderment as he looked at King of Gai. Your Majesty, the Snake Emperor called out. In the eyes of the King of Gaia's skeleton, there was a glint of confusion. In the end, King of Gaia nodded at the Snake Emperor. The Snake Emperor did not ask any more superfluous questions. A beam of green light suddenly shot out of the bone cage and shot straight at Yan Chuan. Humph. A monk immediately pounced over, wanting to snatch the green light. Bai Ditian took a step forward. Pa! Bai Ditian had already returned. Boom! As for the monk that was about to fight over it, he was immediately sent crashing into the ground like a cannonball. Hua! The surrounding experts were in an uproar. Relic Buddha looked coldly at Yan Chuan. Run rat, I'll leave King of Gaia to you. I'll deal with these 3 people. Relic Buddha said in a low voice. Run rat narrowed his eyes and nodded. All right. Relic Buddha immediately flew over, followed by 5 bald monks. All of them looked coldly at Yan Chuan. Bai Ditian passed the item he received to Yan Chuan. It was a small blue bottle. Yan Chuan took a closer look. That's right. This is the source of the zombie poison. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Yan Chuan, I've already given you the item. Fulfill your promise, the Snake Emperor called out coldly. Of course. Yan Chuan smiled. How dare you? Relic Buddha suddenly shouted and stood in front of Yan Chuan. We haven't gone to find you, but you came here yourself. Yan Chuan, don't even think about leaving this time. Relic Buddha said coldly. Humph. Bai Ditian snorted and was about to step forward. Wait. Mo Yushi suddenly shouted. Mo Yushi suddenly took out a soybean. Looking at the soybean, everyone was puzzled. Ren Rat, who was far away, had a glint in his eyes. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. Chapter 893. Soybeans. Seeing Mo Yushi take out soybeans, Relic Buddha and the surrounding cultivators were all confused. This is? Yan Chuan asked curiously. I don't know either. Yuan Tiangang gave it to me. It's called the soybeans armored soldier. Try it. Mo Yushi smiled. Mo Yushi could see clearly that Yan Chuan was going to make an enemy out of everyone. Make an enemy out of dozens of sections. Bai Ditian might be able to save King Gaio, but Yan Chuan would definitely become enemies with the sects. When King Gaio came back for revenge, these people would definitely shift their hatred onto Yan Chuan. That was why Mo Yushi took a step forward. She was going to leave. Let her carry this group of people's hatred with her. Yan Chuan quickly saw through Mo Yushi's plan. As for making an enemy out of the sects, Yan Chuan had already thought of the consequences. Moreover, saving King Gaio had a great purpose. Make an enemy out of dozens of sects. Great Zhen was about to become an imperial dynasty. So what if he had to make an enemy out of the sects? However, this was Mo Yushi's intention. Yan Chuan did not stop her. He stepped forward, and a large number of white bones were kicked away, revealing the soil of the mountain. You are Great Zhao Holy Ground, Dao Lord Yushi? Relic Buddha asked. Mo Yushi smiled and said, Relic Buddha, you have a good eye. So what if she's Dao Lord Yushi? King Gaio offended Jing Ming. If we kill him, Jing Ming will not blame us. Dao Lord Yushi, it's better that you don't interfere. If we fight and accidentally hurt you, that would be bad. Relic Buddha said coldly. Behind Relic Buddha, the 5 monks each took out a round wheel. All of them looked coldly at Yan Chuan. Mo Yushi ignored him and gently stuffed the soybeans into the soil. Huh? Countless cultivators in the surroundings looked confused. Planting soybeans? Dao Monarch Yushi was joking, right? planting beans at this time. Only the ninth rat's eyes narrowed, and it became even more terrified. Squeak squeak, it can't be, right? Ninth rat muttered to itself. Tao monarch Mo Yushi, please step aside. Otherwise, you'll injure. Holding the alms bowl in his hand, Relic Buddha said coldly. However, he suddenly stopped mid-sentence. At the place where the soybeans were planted, a tender sprout suddenly emerged. Huh! The sprout grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a vine. On the vine, a soybean grew. The soybean grew bigger and bigger. Gradually, it reached the size of one zhang. This is... Relic Buddha was slightly taken aback. 10 feet of soybeans. Ka ka ka. All of a sudden, the 10 feet wide soybean split open from the middle, and a pair of strange hands reached out from within. Duh! A strange cry came from the inside, and then the 3-meter-long soybean exploded with a loud bang. Under a large amount of smoke and dust, the soybean and the vine from before withered and shattered. In front of Mo Yushi, a 10 feet tall yellow figure suddenly appeared. The figure was thin and had long limbs. It bowed like a praying mantis. However, it had a head that was shaped like a soybean. It was a strange-looking monster. Master, please give the order. The monster said respectfully to Mo Yushi. Relic Buddha. Mo Yushi. Yan Chuan. Bai Ditian. Nearly 10,000 cultivators. Did a monster really grow out of the soybeans? In the distance, the ninth rat looked even more terrified. Squeak squeak, are my eyes playing tricks on me? This can't be, right? The ninth rat muttered to itself. Chapter 894. Relic Buddha had a strange expression on his face. Then, his eyes turned cold as he said, Tao monarch Yushi, I don't care what this monster is. However, Yan Chuan must stay. Even if you are Tao monarch Dazhao, it is useless. Myriad Buddha alms bowl. Relic Buddha tossed the alms bowl into the sky. Instantly, a golden light flashed and shot towards the mountain peak where Yan Chuan was. Wang! The surrounding space seemed to have solidified. Everyone inside was frozen. Apart from the three of us, beat everyone else to death. Before the golden light reached them, Mo Yushi quickly gave the order. Within the golden light, Mo Yushi seemed to be unable to move. However, the monster did not seem to be affected. It suddenly turned its head and looked at Relic Buddha with its bean-sized head. Under my space-locking Buddha light, no one can move, no one can come out. Yan Chuan, I will release your soul from purgatory. Relic Buddha laughed excitedly. Duh! The monster suddenly pounced. It was as if it was not affected at all. How can this be? Relic Buddha cried out in shock. Under the spatial lock Buddhist light, even upper void realm cultivators would be imprisoned. How could this monster not be affected at all? In the distance, Ren Rat's eyes were filled with fear. Plague Dharma armor soldier. A puppet that is immune to all spells under the immortal realm? Really? Ren Rat was not the only one panicking. Relic Buddha flipped his hand and sent a huge palm strike towards the monster. The surrounding 5 monks also sent out their own Buddhist seals. The palm strike was extremely powerful. It was as if a huge mountain was pressing down. Whoosh! The monster directly passed through the palm strike as if it was just a ray of light. Swish! The monster instantly appeared beneath the Relic Buddha's body. Its 2 hands suddenly grabbed the Relic Buddha's legs. This? Relic Buddha's expression changed greatly. However, it was too late. The monster moved extremely quickly. It swung Relic Buddha like a stick towards a nearby monk. A bald monk against a bald monk. Dang! The stick knocked the monk deep into the ground. Duh! The monster shouted excitedly. Ah, master! Another monk cried out in shock. Pa! One of the monk's legs was also grabbed by the monster. Immediately, the monster had 2 sticks. Duh, 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 duh. The monster swung its 2 sticks wildly. In an instant, he charged into the crowd. Rumble. The monster's speed was extremely fast, and its strength was extremely strong. Every time it struck, one person would be sent flying, or hit into the ground. One by one, the Shouja's heads were broken and bleeding from the collisions. Dang dang dang. A series of swords and sabers collided with the monster's body. The monster had a head of copper and arms of iron, and only the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Duh! The monster roared angrily and charged towards the Shouja who were waving their swords at it. Who? When the stick struck down, a practitioner put up a chi aura shield in fear. However, the stick seemed to be immune to the chi aura shield. It directly collided with the practitioner's head, as if there was no chi aura shield at all. Clang! Head to head, the cultivator was dizzy. As for Relic Buddha, his head was full of sarcomas and his face was bruised and swollen. For a moment, the Relic Buddha was on the verge of collapse. How could this be? Rumble. Rumble. Head to head, the Relic Buddha couldn't use its magic power at all. It was used as a weapon and kept hitting the Shouja in all directions. The monster's speed was extremely fast, so fast that it made people collapse. The group of Shouja couldn't even escape in front of the monster. As long as they were targeted by the monster, it could appear in front of them in an instant. Upper Void Realm. So what if it was Upper Void Realm? In the hands of the monster, wasn't it just a wooden club? Duh! Dang! The monster's cry echoed with the sound of head hitting head. Ah! Help! What was terrifying was its speed. Even some of the Shouja who had just flown into the sky to escape were hit back by the stick in an instant. Rumble. The monster was invulnerable and immune to all spells. Its speed was extremely fast and its strength was huge. In an instant, it was like 10,000 enemies, crazily chasing after countless Shouja. Yan Chuan reached out and grabbed the myriad Buddha alms bowl. As he looked at this artifact, he also looked at the Shouja in the distance who were thrown into the air by the monster. Duh! Duh! The monster was wreaking havoc. Rumble. With a loud sound, the great demon extermination array was broken. Rumble. King of Gai's head was also hit. King of Gai and Snake Emperor were also looking at the monster wreaking havoc in all directions. Those two, don't fight. Mo Yushi pointed at King of Gai and Snake Emperor. The monster immediately obeyed. It no longer targeted those two. King of Gai rubbed his head that was hit and looked at Yan Chuan. Emperor of Great Zhen, we will meet again. King of Gai said. Yan Chuan nodded. King of Gai pulled Snake Emperor and shot towards the south. He didn't want to stay for even a moment longer. This journey north could be said to be the biggest failure of his life. Why did you release King of Gai? Bai Ditian asked in a low voice. King of Gai conquering the southern divine continent is better than having the southern divine continent in the hands of Kong Mok and the divine sect sacred grounds. Furthermore, after this battle, King of Gai will definitely view the 1000 Buddha sacred grounds and the divine sect sacred grounds as enemies. The enemy of my enemy might not be my friend, but I can make use of them. Help me restrain the 2 sacred grounds. Yan Chuan said with certainty. Bai Ditian nodded. While the monster was wreaking havoc, at the place where Ren Rat was originally standing, a huge hole appeared on the ground. The moment the monster exploded, Ren Rat quickly dug into the ground and escaped. Behind him were 30 Shouja from the divine sect sacred grounds. Everyone dug into the rat hole and quickly escaped. Only when they were far away from the White Bone Mountain did they climb out of the ground. Hall Master, if we escape through the rat hole like this, won't we embarrass the divine sect's sacred grounds? A disciple shouted. What do you know? Rat instantly shouted. So what if it's a rat hole? I'm a rat. So what if I'm a rat? If you have the ability, why don't you go back? Rat curled his lips. This disciple doesn't dare. That disciple immediately said. Rat nodded and patted that disciple's shoulder. Let Grandpa Rat give you a piece of advice. Even a rat is a lifetime's worth of experience. If you want to learn a little, you can go anywhere in the world. That disciple's face lit up. He immediately said gratefully, Yes, Hall Master, please tell me. This disciple will definitely remember it. Rat said meaningfully, no matter who you meet, if you want face, you will lose. If you want face, you will lose. That disciple opened his mouth in shock and stood there in a daze. No matter who you meet, if you want face, you will lose. Did I hear wrongly? That disciple was still in a daze. Rotten wood cannot be carved. Is this all you have? Sigh. Rat shook his head in disappointment. Chapter 895. On the White Bone Mountain. The armored bean soldier had shown its prowess. It was immune to all spells, and its body was impenetrable. Its speed was terrifying. It could fight against 10,000 people at once. Even Bai Ditian was at a loss. Dao Lord Yushi, what are you doing? Bai Ditian asked curiously. I don't know either. Mo Yushi was also at a loss. When Yuan Tiangang gave it to her, Mo Yushi did not think much of it. It was just a small toy that Yuan Tiangang made casually. But now, this little toy was too exaggerated, right? It could fight against 10,000 people at once. And it had an upper void realm cultivator in its hands. Relic Buddha was also extremely unlucky. He had a body full of dermic powers, but the other party was immune to all spells. And the other party was extremely strong. Relic Buddha's heart was already dead. The huge bumps on his head were getting denser and denser. He was an upper void realm cultivator, the strongest group of people in the world. But now, the last trace of resistance was completely wiped out. A drop of tears of despair streaked across Relic Buddha's eyes. Clang! 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 Duh! 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 Their heads were dizzy from the bumps. The more they ran, the greater the impact. In an instant, a large number of people on the White Bone Mountain fell to the ground. Their heads were bleeding as they wailed. Perhaps this armored bean soldier is an immortal artifact. Bai Ditian murmured. It's a puppet-type immortal artifact. And it's very mysterious. Yen Chuan nodded. 10 hours later, clang. The last cultivator fell. The monster grabbed the relic Buddha and another monk who had already fainted and jumped in front of Mo Yushi. Master, my energy is about to run out. Should I kill all these people? The monster asked respectfully. You're running out of energy. Mo Yushi was confused. Yes. The monster nodded. Mo Yushi was at a loss. There's no need to kill them. Mo Yushi shook her head. Yes, Master. The monster nodded. Master, the crisis has been averted. I have gathered the last of my energy and presented it to you, the monster said. Dropping the two monks in its hands, the monster suddenly crossed its arms and knelt in front of Mo Yushi. Ka 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 ka. The monster's body quickly cracked open and then shattered into pieces. A gentle breeze blew and scattered the shattered pieces. The monster disappeared, and 7 fist-sized purple immortal stones appeared in its shattered body. Immortal stone. Mo Yushi picked up the immortal stone and exclaimed. This puppet used immortal stones as its foundation. One-time use. Do you still have the remaining energy of the 7 immortal stones? The White Emperor asked emotionally. N. Yushi nodded. Soybeans. How much energy was stored in this soybean? Yuan Tiangang. Yan Chuan frowned slightly and was a little curious. Meanwhile, the Saraira Buddha that was thrown at Yan Chuan's feet by the monster struggled to get up. Yan Chuan immediately noticed and smashed the myriad Buddha alms bowl in his hand. Clang! The Saraira Buddha suddenly fainted. Before it fainted, it was filled with despair and regret. He was an upper void realm cultivator, but he actually died here. It was too embarrassing. The soybeans shattered, leaving behind a ground full of injured people. Most of them had fainted, and a small number of them were wailing in pain. What should we do with these people? Bai Ditian looked at the crippled people in front of him and asked curiously. Yan Chuan looked and took a deep breath. Capture them all and send them to Frost City. Dejin's East factory guards are there. Let them send these people to Dejin's prison. Chapter 896. Imprison them all. Bai Ditian was slightly stunned. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded. Rumble. Countless vines suddenly emerged from the ground, wrapping around the injured and sending them to Yan Chuan. Seal their cultivation. Yan Chuan said to Bai Ditian. All right. Bai Ditian nodded. It was too easy for Bai Ditian to seal one's cultivation. Furthermore, when Bai Ditian took action, no one could break through his seal. Not even the relic Buddha could break through it. While Bai Ditian was sealing, Yushi handed the immortal stone to Yan Chuan. Give this to Miao as a snack. It's useless for me to keep it. Yan Chuan smiled and nodded. Whether it was ZZ or Yushi, they doted on Miao too much. Not long after, the three of them swept up nearly 10,000 cultivators and left White Bone Mountain. One day later, White Bone Mountain. Whoosh! A strong wind blew past, and nearly 100 cultivators suddenly appeared in the sky above White Bone Mountain. All of them were riding dragon-headed horses. All of them were wearing golden robes and had powerful auras. The Dragon Horse King in the lead was twice the size of the other dragon horses. Its entire body was greenish-black, and it emitted a black aura. As it stepped on the ground, tens of thousands of horses submitted. Riding on the Dragon Horse King was a man in a golden dragon robe. The man had a square face and a cinnabar dot between his eyebrows. His eyes were filled with arrogance. A long saber hung from his waist, looking extremely domineering. The man in the lead looked around coldly. Where are they? The man in the lead asked in a low voice. Immediately, one of the 100 people dismounted and knelt down. Reporting to Emperor Mo. They are here. The relic Buddha asked me to quickly report to you, that person said respectfully. Emperor Mo. narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Another person dismounted and stepped forward. Emperor Mo. There are many traces of battle here. The relic Buddha might have encountered something else. Let's wait a little longer. He should be back soon. Emperor Mo's eyes turned cold. Relic Buddha. He can't do anything right. What right does he have to make me wait? Yes. I know my mistake. The first person immediately apologized. I will continue to head north. You guys stay here and wait for relic Buddha. Tell him to hurry up and come see me. Emperor Mo. said in a deep voice. Yes. The person from before replied respectfully. Go. Heavenly Son Mo. stomped his foot, and the Dragon Horse King let out a long neigh and quickly stepped into the air towards the north. The group of experts quickly followed, leaving only 2 people to wait quietly in the White Bone Mountain. A few days later, in a large hall outside the White Bone Mountain, Ren Rat was listening to a disciple's report. Gone. All gone. No news from the other sects. None of the 10,000 people managed to escape. Ren Rat's eyes shone brightly. That's right, Palace Master. Should he inform the various sects? This matter definitely has something to do with Mo Yushi and Yan Chuan. A disciple immediately said. Pass a message. Pass on my ass, idiot. What does it have to do with us if they're gone? Ren Rat cursed. The disciple was speechless. 5 months passed by quickly, and the 9th day of September arrived in the blink of an eye. Dark Phoenix Hall. Yan Chuan had been accompanying Mo Yushi all this time. Perhaps this was the last time in this world. Yan Chuan held Mo Yushi's hand and walked to the railing of the hall's plaza. Hades Emperor, Tao Lord Yu just returned. Qing Long said. Oh. Mo Yushi's expression changed. Tao Lord Yu's face was full of anger, and only one person returned. Qing Long said. One person. Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi looked at each other. Tao Lord Yu's trip to the Julu Academy didn't go well. Mo Yushi smiled. I'll get Bai Ditian to help. Bai Ditian might be back soon. We'll just have to ask him then. Yan Chuan laughed. Meng Wenrua and Su Sanyang were finally together. As the two sighed, Bai Ditian turned into a stream of light and shot into the plaza. Bai Ditian? How was the trip to the Julu Academy? Yan Chuan asked. Meng Wenrua succeeded. Bai Ditian smiled. Oh. Tao Lord Yu went to fetch Su Sanyang. Unfortunately, Su Sanyang refused to go with him in the name of mourning. Bai Ditian said. And then? Although nothing happened between Meng Wenrua and Su Sanyang, Tao Lord Yu still found something strange and went to question Su Sanyang. She refused to say anything and refused to go with Tao Lord Yu. Tao Lord Yu was furious and said something that hurt Su Sanyang deeply. Everything was resolved. Bai Ditian smiled. What did he say? Tao Lord Yu said, if I can't have you, no one else can. After saying that, Tao Lord Yu attacked Su Sanyang, and Meng Wenrua went to save her. The two of them died together, and their affair broke out. You didn't see it, but it was a tear-jerking scene. At the critical moment, Jin Dayu and I took action and blocked Tao Lord Yu. Everything was settled. Bai Ditian said. Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi looked at each other. That's for the best. My last bit of guilt is gone. Tao Lord Yu said something like that, which means that he didn't love Su Sanyang at all. It was just a kind of possessiveness. Mo Yushi took a deep breath and sighed. Yan Chuan nodded. Bai Ditian, you just came back. You should rest first. Tomorrow, Jingting will take Goddess Zhichen's Dao seal. After tomorrow, we will have too many things to do. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Okay. Bai Ditian nodded. Bai Ditian went to rest. Mo Yushi hugged Yan Chuan and said coquettishly, I want to see the fireworks. After tomorrow, Mo Yushi might leave. Yan Chuan naturally cherished this last night. Okay, I've already sent people to prepare it. Let's go. Yan Chuan nodded gently. In a valley in the Dazhao sacred ground. Fireworks shot into the sky. Yan Chuan hugged Mo Yushi and looked at the beautiful scenery. Mo Yushi leaned in Yan Chuan's arms and looked at the fireworks. Then, she looked at Yan Chuan affectionately. Finally, her eyes unconsciously looked at her lower abdomen. One hand was placed on her lower abdomen and gently stroked it. It was extremely gentle. Mo Yushi's eyes flashed with a kind light. She smiled blissfully. How are the fireworks? Yan Chuan asked gently. Mo Yushi immediately looked away and looked at the fireworks in front of her. Her eyes flashed with happiness. Yes. It's so beautiful. Mo Yushi praised. Then, she leaned into Yan Chuan's arms. The fireworks shot into the sky. Although the scenery was beautiful, they were sending Mo Yushi off. Yan Chuan didn't feel good. Looking at the fireworks, Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said, Yushi, don't worry. I will come and find you. Furthermore, the next time I see you, even if Jingting doesn't allow it, I will take you away. Believe me, I will definitely support you. Mo Yushi smiled blissfully. I believe you. Chapter 897. September 9th. Dazhao's Sacred Ground. Although Jingming did not announce it to the world, the heroes of the world had already felt that Dazhao was unusual. Even Dazhao's series of actions were unusual. September 9th, outside the Dark Phoenix Hall. Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, Bai Ditian and the emperor who had just arrived stood quietly on an extremely spacious balcony. They stared at the Wu clan's grand hall on Great Bright Mountain. Yan Chuan held Mo Yushi's hand with a heavy heart. Emperor, did you know from the great wisdom Bodhisattva that you obtained the inheritance of the Blade Demon? Yan Chuan asked doubtfully. It was the Ice Phoenix Sovereign, my father's inheritance was given to me by Aunt Ming. The Ice Phoenix clan submitted to Aunt Ming, they should know something. Now they are colluding with the Thousand Buddha Sacred Ground. After this battle, I will slaughter the Ice Phoenix clan. The emperor said coldly. Slaughter the Ice Phoenix? Mo Yushi frowned slightly. The emperor looked at Mo Yushi and said, Phoenix is divided into many branches. The relationship between the Ice Phoenix and your Dark Phoenix is not good even in the Immortal world. Back then, the Ice Phoenix only submitted to Dark Phoenix. Mo Yushi nodded. They stopped arguing. Emperor, are you sure Jingming knows about your father's death? Yan Chuan looked at the emperor and asked. The emperor nodded and gritted his teeth, my father's death is irreconcilable. I must kill the enemy with my own hands. Wasn't the Blade Demon the strongest person in the world back then? At that time, who would be able to kill him? Yan Chuan asked doubtfully. I don't know. The Undying Sacred Ground was like the Dazhao Sacred Ground now. In the world, their words carried weight and all sects submitted to them. I can't think of anything. The emperor shook his head bitterly. Yan Chuan nodded and did not ask any more questions. The emperor clenched his fists. Today, he must know the result. Great Zhou City. On a floating island. Yao Tianshang was dressed in a green robe. Together with Spider King and 20 subordinates, he stood at the peak of the floating island. He looked at the Wu clan's Great Bright Mountain from afar, and his eyes became more and more serious. Yao Tianshang gently waved his hand, and Spider King and the others stepped back. Yao Tianshang muttered to himself, Jingting wants to take Goddess Jichen's seal. Yao Tianshang's glabella flickered slightly before he spoke again, not bad. The #1 expert of this generation is indeed extraordinarily courageous. However, don't worry. Our future might not be weaker than his. Yao Tianshang was talking to himself. His voice was very soft, and only he could hear it. I've thought of many ways, but the demon race is unable to condense fate. This is determined by our fate. The demon nation that I established, although there are many demon race members, if we can't condense fate, what's the use of my demon nation? Yao Tianshang said with a complicated expression. Demons can't establish a country. When I was still alive, I had always been looking for an answer. Do you know why I died all those years ago? Yao Tianshang asked again. Oh. I sacrificed myself for a cause. Before I died, I found the answer. Moreover, I must have succeeded. Believing in me is the same as believing in yourself. The human race is only one of the 10,000 races, while the demon race comprises half of them. Once the demon nation is established, it will be unstoppable, Yao Tianshang said confidently. All right, you are my previous life. Of course, I will believe you. Just don't think about devouring my memories from this life. Yao Tianshang nodded. Don't worry. I won't. The current state that we are in now is something that I have planned for a long time. Not only will I not devour your memories from this life, but when the time is right, I will also transfer all the memories from my previous life to you. Chapter 898. Yes. Yao Tiansheng nodded. Then, Yao Tiansheng stopped talking and continued to look in the direction of the Wu clan's main hall. In a valley at the edge of the great Zhou city. In the valley, there were 100 people riding on dragon horses. All of them were extremely arrogant, and their eyes shone brightly. The one riding the dragon horse king was the Western Emperor Mo Ku. Son of Heaven Mo Ku narrowed his eyes and stared at the Wu clan's main hall in Great Bright Mountain. Reporting to Emperor Mo Ku, there is still no news of the relic Buddha. A person beside him said respectfully. Emperor Mo Ku's eyes turned cold as he turned his head to look. Under Emperor Mo Ku's gaze, that person lowered his head in fear. Heavenly Son Mo Ku pondered for a moment, relic Buddha. Trash. From the looks of it, King Guai has already returned to the southern divine continent. The great calamity Sky Dynasty's destiny cloud sea did not collapse. I think King Guai must have escaped back. The subordinate said respectfully. Heaven's Son Mo Ku took a deep breath and said, this emperor has been planning for many years. Once the capital retreats, this emperor will sweep through the world. There are many calamities in the south. It looks like it won't be that easy to take down the south in a short time. King Gai Yu was severely injured by Jing Ming this time. This should have been a heaven-sent opportunity. It's a pity that Sarira Buddha failed in his task. He deserves to die. That subordinate immediately added. Tianzi Mo Ku nodded. Your Majesty, our men have discovered Yao Tiansheng and 20 other great demons in the great Zhou city. Another subordinate reported respectfully. Emperor Mo Ku's eyes turned cold. Yao Tiansheng. This person was quite daring. He had schemed in the northern divine continent for many years and gathered a large number of demons. Unfortunately, the demons were unable to establish their own country. Demon country? What a joke. Your Majesty, after today, will we? The subordinate asked doubtfully. Yao Tiansheng. Once Jingting retreats, we'll capture Yao Tiansheng. He's also a talent. It's fine if he submits to me, but if he doesn't, kill him. Emperor Mo Ku said solemnly. Yes. Your Majesty, Dark Phoenix Hall has discovered traces of Yan Chuan. He was the one who ruined your Majesty's plans in the East Divine Continent, another subordinate reported. Yan Chuan. Kong Susu's bastard child. Kong Susu was my strongest competitor back then. Almost, the emperor you speak of was Kong Susu. Emperor Mo Ku sneered. We pledge our loyalty to His Majesty. Everyone quickly declared. It doesn't matter. Everything has been settled. Yan Chuan. Back then, Kong Susu used her life to protect him. Who would have thought that she would leave behind such a scourge? Mo Ku mumbled. The subordinates didn't say anything else. This involved the internal affairs of the Kong family, so no one had the right to interfere. Heavenly Son Mo Ku once again stared at the Wu clan's main hall in the distance. Outside the Wu clan's main hall, nearly 10 million cultivators had gathered and were waiting respectfully for the doors of the grand hall to open. At the entrance of the main hall, Shangguan Wan, Mohina Dojin, Dao Lord Yu Yu, and the leaders of the 5 vassal sects were waiting respectfully. The square of the Wu clan's main hall was extremely solemn and serene. Shangguan Wan stood on the square and looked around. There was a cold glint in her eyes. Senior brother, did Shangguan Wan discover us? Grandmaster, is Shangguan Wan's eyes warning us? Shangguan Wan's gaze swept across the area. Great Zhou City, the surrounding mountains, and many other places were in an uproar. This uproar included where Yao Tiansheng and Emperor Mo Ku were. Shangguanwan's eyes instantly warned all the upper void realm experts. Chapter 899. No matter how well you hid, Shangguanwan would still find you instantly. Shangguanwan has never shown herself before. So she is this powerful? King Spider said to Yao Tiansheng in surprise. Yao Tiansheng did not answer. Instead, he frowned slightly. Roar! Emperor Emo's dragon horse neighed. Everyone felt the threat in Shangguanwan's gaze. Shut up! Emperor Emo pressed down on King Dragon Horse. Your Majesty, is Shangguanwan warning everyone not to cause trouble at this time? A subordinate asked solemnly. Emperor Emo's face turned gloomy. He did not answer. Shangguanwan looked around. She had achieved her goal. She turned to look at the Wu clan's main hall. Sacred Master, everything is ready. Yuan Tiangang has already gone to the Great Suppressing World Steel. Shangguanwan said respectfully. Bang! The doors of the main hall suddenly opened. Everyone looked over and saw beams of golden light shooting out from the main hall. Jingming walked out step by step under the golden light. Greetings, Sacred Master. Nearly 10 million cultivators bowed respectfully to Jingming, who was wearing a dragon robe. Jingming walked out in a dragon robe and a flat imperial crown. With a wave of his wide sleeves, Jingming's eyes exuded a solemn and noble aura. Step by step, Jingming walked to the square. He waved his sleeves and looked around. Greetings, Sacred Master. Sacred Master, you will enjoy immortal blessings and live as long as the heavens, the cultivators said respectfully again. Standing in front of the Wu clan's main hall, Jingming looked around. An emperor's aura spread out. Countless cultivators were subdued by this emperor's aura. Rise! Jingming said calmly. Thank you, Sacred Master, the nearly 10 million cultivators said respectfully. The surroundings were solemn. At this moment, the cultivators within 1,000,000 miles of the Great Bright Mountain did not dare to breathe. For a moment, the Great Bright Mountain was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. However, an accident still happened. Jingming. Suddenly, an abrupt voice sounded. Shangguanwan's expression changed. The nearly 10 million cultivators in the Great Bright Sacred Ground also turned gloomy. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. It came from outside the Dark Phoenix Hall on Dark Phoenix Mountain. A trace of anxiety appeared on Shangguanwan's face. She had previously threatened all the practitioners. The only place that wasn't a threat was Dark Phoenix Mountain. That was Mo Yushi's dojo. There shouldn't be any problems there. How could something happen at this time? The one who directly called out Jingming's name was the Emperor. At this moment, the Emperor's face was solemn. He didn't have the slightest bit of respect as he stared at Jingming. How dare you? Maori, Yu, and the other experts immediately shouted in anger. Jingming looked over, but his expression changed slightly. He gently waved his hand and stopped all the actions of the Great Revelation Holy Lands experts. Emperor. The Emperor didn't back down at all and looked at Jingming coldly. Jingming also asked with interest, is it you, lass? Girl? A trace of displeasure appeared on the Emperor's face. But she still asked, Jingming, how did my father die? How did this woman's father die? Countless cultivators in the surroundings were already at a loss. Was she here to mess things up? The death of the Blade Demon? You don't know. Jingming smiled. Then, Jingming looked at Yan Chuan with deep meaning. Yan Chuan frowned slightly. Suddenly, he thought of something and his expression changed slightly. I don't know. Please tell me. The Emperor lowered his head solemnly with difficulty. For the revenge of his father, the Emperor was willing to do anything. You should know, the Blade Demon should have already told you. Jingming said indifferently. Tell me. The emperor's expression changed. The emperor frowned deeply. His expression suddenly became ugly, but he still gritted his teeth and shook his head. No, I don't know, please tell me. The emperor took a deep breath and suppressed his emotions at this moment. Jing Ming sighed slightly and said, the person who killed your father, Yan Zizai. Yan Zizai. Yan Chuan's ancestor. Sword Demon and Blade Demon were known as the twin demons. They were both the founders of the immortal Holy Land. Impossible, impossible, Sword Demon killed my father. This is impossible. The emperor immediately exclaimed. Jing Ming looked at the emperor and said indifferently, did the Blade Demon really not warn you? The emperor immediately took a step back and looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. The Blade Demon set up a forbidden technique that allowed the emperor to feel Yan Zizai's bloodline. Did he want the emperor to avenge him? Kill all the descendants of the Yan clan? Did he also want the emperor to kill Yan Chuan? Chapter 900. Atlas Studios. The emperor could feel the Yan clan's bloodline. This was also the reason why Yan Chuan had found the emperor for the first time. At first, no one thought much of it. However, at this moment, this connection caused Huang Ku to be shocked. Yan Zizai killed his father. If that was the case, his father had used a secret technique to connect him to the Yan clan's bloodline. Didn't this mean that his father hated the Yan clan's bloodline to the core? His father wanted him to exterminate the Yan clan's bloodline? Avenge him? For a moment, the emperor seemed to be unable to breathe as he stared at Jing Ming. Yan Zizai. Is it really Yan Zizai? The emperor's eyes turned red. Jing Ming looked at the emperor and said indifferently, I don't need to lie to you. Girl, although you targeted me in the past, I don't blame you. If you have any problems in the future, you can come to me anytime. Jing Ming was lying. There was no need. With Jing Ming's current status and strength, she didn't need to lie. Was it really Yan Zizai? Was he really going to kill Yan Chuan? He couldn't live under the same sky as his father. Xing. The emperor waved his long saber and pointed it at Yan Chuan. N. Bai Ditian's face darkened as he stepped forward. Mo Yushi also nervously stood in front of Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan pulled Mo Yushi away. Bai Ditian, move aside. Yan Chuan said. Bai Ditian frowned and nodded. He moved aside for Yan Chuan. The emperor's long saber was pointed at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan looked at the emperor solemnly. Countless cultivators stared at them. Even Jing Ming was watching with interest at this moment. Jing Ming already knew that Yan Chuan had super skills. Yan Zizai's descendant. The emperor. The daughter of the saber demon. Were these two going to fight to the death? The emperor looked at Yan Chuan. His eyes were red, but his expression was one of extreme pain. Why? Why is it you? The emperor's voice was filled with pain. The breeze blew through the emperor's short hair, but the emperor's face was ferocious. Taking a deep breath, Yan Chuan shook his head and said, I did not kill your father. It was not Yan Chuan who killed him. Yan Chuan had never done anything. This was an indisputable fact. However, Yan Chuan was the descendant of Yan Zizai. Staring at Yan Chuan, a trace of hostility flashed in the emperor's eyes. But as soon as this hostility appeared, it was instantly extinguished by some unknown emotion. However, the evil chi that had just been annihilated appeared again, forming a gust of evil wind that blew past Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan's clothes fluttered, but Yan Chuan did not move at all. Father, how did I get here? You are the result of the love between me and your mother. Dad, your beard is hurting me. Dad will shave it off immediately. Little baby. Dad, I am 3 years old. Last year I was a little baby, now I am a big baby. Good, a big baby. Ha! Then Dad, what did you say just now? What is love? Love is love. Just like how I love your mother loves me. Why does mother love you? There is no why. It is love. But, I don't understand. You will understand in the future. No, I want to know now. Well, to love someone, you are willing to lose everything for him. I don't understand. Ha 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 ha. The emperor's eyes unconsciously moistened. Pointing his long sword at Yen Chuan, the emperor's whole body trembled. The hatred of killing my father is absolutely irreconcilable. I will kill you. I will destroy the Yen clan. The emperor said coldly to Yen Chuan. Ah! The emperor raised his head and screamed. Rumble. In an instant, thousands of sword chi appeared around the emperor. The sword chi pierced through the 9 heavens, bringing with it a biting cold. Chapter 901. Whoosh! The sovereign stepped into the sky, and thousands of saber auras surged toward the west. He left behind gusts of wind that blew in all directions. The surrounding cultivators were confused. Yen Chuan frowned slightly. He sighed deeply. Jingying was deep in thought, but she did not pay attention to it for long. The surrounding cultivators were still confused, but after the sovereign left, everyone's attention was focused on Jingying again. After all, Jingying was the main character today. Jingying looked up at the sky. Yuan Tiangang. Jingying suddenly shouted. When Jingying spoke, the void in front of her seemed to tremble. An image suddenly appeared in the trembling void. In the image, a white-robed man stood in front of a giant tablet. Holy Lord, everything is ready. We are just waiting for your order. Yuan Tiangang bowed respectfully. Jingying nodded. All sects in the world, heed my order. Jingying suddenly shouted coldly. The great manifest merit clouds suddenly trembled violently. At the same time, Jingying's voice seemed to radiate in all directions. For a moment, all the sect leaders in the world looked up in horror. Her voice was like thunder from the 9th heaven, deafening. Jingying's aura spread across the world along with her voice. Almost all the experts in the world suddenly felt a huge pressure. It was not only the great manifest merit cloud, but also the entire East Divine Continent and the 5 Divine Continents. The Archaean Sacred Ground. Meng Hongying looked up at the sky. This is Jingying's aura. Isn't she in the East Divine Continent? Meng Hongying exclaimed. The Archaean sect. A group of white-haired elders looked up at the sky. Beside them stood the heavenly maiden. Jingying's voice. So powerful. The heavenly maiden muttered to herself. The 10,000 Buddha's sacred ground. A group of monks stood on a golden platform and looked up at the sky. Jingying's aura. How powerful is she? A monk said in a low voice. Julu Academy. At the Radiant World's entrance. Meng Lingtian, Dongfang Zhenpai, Meng Rongrong, and the others stood at the entrance of the Radiant World and looked up at the sky. That woman is too powerful. Our Radiant World is trembling. Dongfang Zhenpai said in a daze. Woman? Everyone. Meng Lingtian also looked strangely at Dongfang Zhenpai. Under Jingming's command, all the experts in the world stopped what they were doing. Great Zhao is in charge of the affairs of heaven and earth. Myriad sects, heed my command. Contribute half of your merit to the sect. Hurry up and contribute. I will only give you 2 hours. Jing Ting said in a deep voice. Hua! The entire world was in an uproar. With a single order, all the sects in the world that practice Yin virtue must hand over half of their merits? This was not just tyrannical, it was simply making an enemy of the entire world. Meng Hongying listened to Jingting's voice in astonishment. How could this be? However, Something strange happened behind Meng Hongying. The Archaean's sacred ground will offer half of our merit points. We hope that the sacred lord will succeed in seizing the heavens. A voice came from behind Meng Hongying. Grandpa's voice? Meng Hongying's expression changed. Hong long long. Behind Meng Hongying, a series of rumbles could be heard. In the direction of the god world, boundless yellow merit points soared into the sky and rushed towards the east at a terrifying speed. How is this possible? Meng Hongying exclaimed. Half of the merit points? That's half of the merit points of the Archaean's sacred ground. Why did Grandpa agree so quickly? Chapter 902. The 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Ground. The 10,000 Buddha's sacred ground offers half of our merit points. May the sacred lord succeed in seizing the heavens. The 10,000 Buddha's sacred ground shouted. Not only the two sacred grounds, but all the sects in the world also shouted the same thing. Congealed Jade Palace offers half of our merit points. May the sacred lord succeed in seizing the heavens. 10,000 Sacred Sect offers half of our merit points. May the sacred lord succeed in seizing the heavens. Blue Lake Island offers half of our merit points. May the sacred lord succeed in seizing the heavens. Merit points quickly gathered from all over the world. With every stream of merit points, the sect leaders of the various sects could be heard congratulating the sacred ground. With a command, all sects shouted in unison. The sea of merit points grew bigger and bigger, covering the sky and sun. It was endless and still growing. The disciples of the sacred ground were extremely proud. This was the #1 sect in the world. On the other hand, the crowd of experts who had come to watch the ceremony was in awe. Yao Tiansheng, Tianzi Mo Ku, and Bai Ditian all held their breaths and sighed. Yan Chuan also took a deep breath. Was this the dominance of the #1 person in the world? As more and more merit accumulated, the sky had already been dyed a golden color by the boundless merit. Boundless merit filled the surroundings. Jing Ting looked at the sky coldly. It was as if everything was natural. I know why my mother had an empire in the celestial world but established a sacred ground here. Mo Yushi's expression changed. Whether it is merit points or providence, my mother has a lot of them. After all, there are too few people in this world who cultivate providence, but merit points are endless. That's why my mother gave up on establishing an empire. Mo Yushi analyzed. That should be the case. Yan Chuan nodded. Boundless beneficence gathered. This continued until 2 hours later. Only then did the merit points slow down. Jing Ting looked at the endless merit points in the sky with dissatisfaction. She said coldly, "Who dares to disobey my orders?" An angry roar resounded through the world. Jing Ting reached out and slapped the sky. Boom! A golden torrent rushed into the sky. After rushing through the sea of providence clouds, the torrent instantly split into 306 parts and shot in all directions, disappearing in an instant. South of the sacred ground, on a sect's mountain. Sect leader, why do we have to contribute half of our merit points? This is the result of our generations of hard work. Yes, senior brother, the incense-burning sect beside us didn't contribute. Why do we have to be the spendthrift? Why doesn't burning incense sect contribute? We have to. While everyone was complaining about the sect leader, a deafening sound suddenly came from the west. Reporting, Sect Master, burning incense sect has been razed to the ground by an unknown force. Incense thousand sect thousand sacred thousand sect. The crowd of disciples. Sect Master is wise. The group of disciples immediately changed their previous attitude, and said with lingering fear. Great Zhao Holy Land. Half an incense stick later. Rumble. Heaven, sect. Was. This is. Mo Yushi looked at the sky in surprise. There are 306 sects that didn't agree to Jingming's request and refused to contribute merit points, or they were all destroyed. Yan Chuan said in disbelief. Mo Yushi opened her mouth in shock. Not only Yan Chuan, but all around the Great Bright Mountain, almost all the experts of the outer sects stared blankly at the surging fortune. Everyone was aware of this possibility, but almost everyone didn't want to admit it. If that was really the case, then Jingming's strength was too terrifying. All the sects in the world could beat up whoever they wanted. Was he still human? Too domineering. Chapter 903. Yan Chuan's arrangements. The Zhen Dynasty. Imperial Palace. Lu Gang bowed respectfully to Zizi in the main hall. Miao jumped on Zizi's knees and gnawed on a spiritual stone. Reporting to the Empress, De Zhen's army has been deployed. The heroes of the Tiger Tribe, Huo Guang, Yi Feng, the new 3rd Army Commander Jin Dayu, and the 4th Army Commander Meng Wenrua have made all the necessary preparations. Yan capital is rather empty at the moment. Please listen to me and retreat for now. You can return after this battle. Lu Gang said solemnly. Zizi patted Miao's head and shook her head. There's no need. My husband has made all the arrangements. Even if the rebels in the city rise, I'm confident that I can escape unscathed. You'd better do your job well. De Zhen is showing weakness this time to uncover all the spies that the outer sects have planted in De Zhen. Lord Lu, your East Depot's task is not small. Lu Gang's expression turned solemn. Don't worry, Empress. A few days ago, the East Depot received the prisoners sent by the Emperor, including the Western Relic Buddha. I've already pried open the mouths of a large number of prisoners. I believe there won't be any mistakes. You can go now. Zizi nodded. Yes. Lu Gang left the main hall. After Lu Gang left, Miao suddenly shouted, Sister Zizi, what did Yan Chuan send you? Why are you so confident? Zizi smiled and took out a seed that had sprouted. Miao, what's this? Miao was puzzled. Vine demon. Let Miao take a look. Zizi smiled at the seed. Ah! Countless vines suddenly sprouted from the seed. In an instant, Miao was tied up. Meow, meow, meow. Miao's hair stood on end. She was then tied up pitifully. Ha! Zizi laughed. The vines quickly retracted. Once again, it transformed into a seed that had sprouted. Meow. Miao looked at the harmless seed in horror. This is a vine demon, and its strength is equivalent to the 2nd level of the upper void stage. Even if it's not invincible, it's more than enough to protect itself. Moreover, with my birth chart, who would dare to harm me? Last time, the upper void realm Kong Xianshui wanted to attack me. Although he was killed by Jing Ting, it can also be seen as me killing him. Zizi smiled. But didn't Lu Gang say that there is an upper void stage overlord in Yanjin who is even more powerful than Kong Xianshui? Miao. Miao was worried. That person. As early as half a month ago, I had already noticed a trace of hostility from that person towards me. At that time, I had already started making preparations. Upper Emptiness Realm? Not necessarily great. At that time, he might not even be able to make a move. Zizi said confidently. Miao. Miao asked curiously. Have you forgotten about the Nailhead 7 Arrows book? Zizi smiled. Miao. Miao also showed a naughty smile. In Yan Marquis' mansion in Yanjin. Yan Qiuyu and a black-robed man were listening to their subordinate's report. After the report, the subordinate quickly left. Huo Guang led the army out of Great Zhen's border, and Yi Feng also led the army out of Great Zhen. This time, they brought almost 80% of Great Zhen's army. Now, there are only a few guards in the major cities. The black-robed man said in a deep voice. Great Zhen is currently empty. Even in Yanjin, more than half of the fierce generals have left the army. Yan Qiuyu nodded. Yan Chuan is too ambitious, ha! The black-robed man sneered. Is it not good to be ambitious? Yan Qiuyu sneered. Chapter 904. Good, of course. De Zhen is much easier to control, especially Yan capital. Many of the officials are old officials of the former Yan state. They used to be your officials. Yan Qiuyu, when Huo Guang and the others start the battle with the outer sects, it will be the time for you to take back everything. The black-robed man said confidently. Yan Qiuyu nodded and said, my cultivation has been raised to the lower void stage by your secret technique, but I'm still worried about Yan Chuan. Worried? What's there to worry about? You're in charge of controlling De Zhen. We'll deal with Yan Chuan and the others. The black-robed man smiled. Yan Qiuyu's eyes flashed with anticipation. Although Yan Qiuyu had abdicated back then, her heart as an emperor had never been erased. You continue to contact your old officials. I'll take my leave first. The black-robed man smiled. Yan Qiuyu nodded. The black-robed man left the main hall and quickly walked to another main hall. A group of black-robed men surrounded the main hall. A white-robed monk was lying on a large bed in the middle. Cough, cough, cough. The white-robed monk coughed. His face was extremely thin. Master, how are you? The black-robed man asked worriedly. The white-robed monk's face was pale, and he coughed up blood. Master, you're an upper void stage expert. How can you be sick just like that? The black-robed man was still puzzled. The white-robed monk said bitterly, I might have been hit by a demonic technique. Demonic technique? My soul is becoming more and more scattered. I must have been hit by a demonic technique. However, I don't know which demon king I have offended. Quickly look around. If there are any greater demons passing by, help me find them. Otherwise, my life will be over. The white-robed monk said bitterly. Yes. Everyone was confused. In a valley. Close to 10,000 cultivators sat cross-legged in a large tent in the middle of the valley. Yi Feng, the commander of De Zhen's second army, sat cross-legged in the tent. He was meditating with his eyes closed. There was a jade table in front of him. On the jade table, there was a long sword and a small bottle. The long sword emitted a gentle white light. It was Yan Chuan's god sword. As for the small bottle, it was the zombie origin poison obtained from the Snake Emperor. Sir! A shout came from outside the tent. Come in. Yi Feng called out. Soon, Zhi Jiansheng, the great swordsman, the second swordsman, and Yi Feng's trusted subordinates all entered. Sir, the route has been ascertained. When does it start? Zhi Jiansheng asked excitedly. Yi Feng looked at everyone and said, it's not the right time yet. Also, have you all mastered the method of controlling zombies that His Majesty passed down? Once it's activated, I have the Emperor's Sword of God, so I can sit back and relax. The zombies you are facing don't have eyes. Sir, don't worry. This is a matter of life and death. No one dares to be lazy. The great swordsman immediately shouted. Yes. Wait a little longer. Yi Feng nodded. In a forest. Huo Guang, the commander of De Zhen's first army, stood on the head of a ferocious tiger and looked into the distance. Behind Huo Guang, millions of soldiers lined up in a square formation, ready to set off. Huo Guang held a long spear in one hand and carried Yan Chuan's Jade Emperor's sword on his back. Master, when are we going to make a move? I can't wait. Tan Lang shouted excitedly. Huo Guang looked at Tan Lang and smiled with satisfaction, it's not the right time yet. Wait, don't ruin His Majesty's plans. Yes. Tan Lang nodded. Let the soldiers hide and rest. The 5th Battalion is responsible for scouting the surroundings. Huo Guang ordered. Yes. Tan Lang immediately replied. Dezhao territory, on top of a city tower. Meng Wenrua waved her white feather fan and looked at the city. Beside her stood a few scribes. Are there any problems? Meng Wenrua asked. Senior brother, don't worry. There are no problems. All the strong disciples of Dezhao have gone to the Dezhao sacred ground. At this moment, all the cities are empty. We have already made many arrangements. Once the Dezhao sacred ground is destroyed, these cities will immediately change their surname to Dezhen. The scribe smiled. Meng Wenrua nodded and said with a trace of pity, there are too many cities in the Dezhao sacred ground. We can't swallow them all at once. Senior brother, it's not small anymore. As long as Lord Hua connects the 2 middle-tier sects, our great Zhen will be connected to this place. If we succeed in swallowing them, our great Zhen's territory will immediately expand to become the largest in the East Divine Continent. The scholar said with certainty. Meng Wenrua took a deep breath and nodded with a smile, yes, I was too greedy. Even if there are so many cities, it will take a long time to digest them all. At the foot of a volcano, there was also a large number of soldiers gathered. At the mouth of the volcano, Jin Dayu absorbed an endless amount of earth fire and continued to refine his giant bell that was the gate to heaven. Dang! The huge bell rang, and the surging lava in the surroundings came to a sudden stop. Jin Dayu opened his mouth and swallowed the giant bell before flying out of the volcano. My lord, everything is ready. However, we don't have many people and it will be difficult to control this large territory. A general came forward and said worriedly. Jin Dayu glanced at him and said, Control? This place is too far from Dezhen. It is impossible to control it. I did not come here to control this area. Ah. This is a vassal sect of Dezhao. It is too far away from Dezhen. However, once the Dezhao sacred ground is over, this sect will have endless merit. My goal is the same as Yifeng's. It is enough to destroy the sect and seize the merit. As for you. Jin Dayu looked at the crowd. My lord, what do we do? The crowd asked in confusion. After the sect is destroyed, there will be countless Dharma treasures and spirit stones. You will be responsible for transporting them. Jin Dayu said indifferently. Ah. Yes. The soldiers nodded in confusion. Dezhao sacred ground. Yan Chuan held Mo Yushi's hand and looked at the domineering capital in the distance. With a command, all the sects in the world offered up their merit. Although he was shocked, Yan Chuan was more excited. How much of this merit would flow into Dezhen? The investiture of the gods was made up of the investiture of the gods and Tian Su. It could convert merit into fate. If everything was as he thought, Dezhen would soon be promoted to imperial dynasty. The sea of merit covered the sky and the earth. Golden light shone on the land. A trace of satisfaction flashed in the capital's eyes. He turned to look at the wrinkled void. Yuan Tiangang, I am going to start. Arrange the stars in the sky and use the great suppressing boundary steel to invade this world, the capital said solemnly. In the image, Yuan Tiangang nodded respectfully. He waved the horsetail whisk in his hand, and a stream of light rushed into the sky. Chapter 905. Atlas Studios Yuan Tiangang swung his horsetail whisk towards the sky, and a stream of light shot into the sky. As the stream of light shot into the sky, it split into 108 forks and shot towards 108 directions in the sky. 108 beams of light shot into the sky, and 108 stars suddenly appeared in the sky in broad daylight. Yan Chuan stood on the dark Phoenix Mountain, and his eyes narrowed. Heavenly Dipper 36 stars and Earthly Fiend 72 stars. Connecting to the power of 108 stars at the same time. Among the immortals, he is considered an extremely strong expert. However, it doesn't seem that easy to mobilize the power of 108 stars at the same time. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Bai Ditian nodded as well. In the image, Yuan Tiangong's horsetail whisk seemed to have turned into energy as he slapped it on the great world-suppressing monument. Whoosh! The horsetail whisk turned into a layer of light that enveloped the great world-suppressing monument and connected to the 108 stars at the same time. Yuan Tiangang formed a hand seal and immediately shouted, "Lord D, 10,000 troops attract the power of the stars." Roar! A loud roar suddenly came from heaven and earth, as if there were thousands of troops shouting at the same time. This sound? Bai Ditian said in surprise. Outside our world, my mother has already arranged an army. Mou, she explained. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded. As everyone spoke, they saw the light beam that connected the 108 stars in the image suddenly expand by 100 or even 1,000 times. Gulyalu. They could see that a huge amount of star power was being extracted from the stars and rushing down towards the great world-suppressing monument. Rumble. The great world-suppressing monument rumbled as it became bigger and bigger. Gradually, it became 1,000 times its original size. The great world-suppressing monument slowly floated up. After it was 30 feet above the ground, it suddenly fell. Hong! The great world-suppressing monument smashed into the ground. On the ground, a huge wave that could be seen with the naked eye swept out in all directions. It was like a stone falling into a mirror lake. A ripple swept out in all directions. However, unlike the ripples in the lake, there was only one ripple. Just this one ripple was enough to sweep out in all directions. In the image, the space there became blurry because of this tremor. The powerhouses of the Dazhao Holy Land could naturally see the vastness of that attack, but no one could see the extent of its vastness. After about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Rumble. The Great Zhao Holy Ground shook violently. Was there an earthquake in the Great Zhao Holy Land? Everyone looked at the screen in horror. Could this earthquake have come from the Central Divine Continent? Central Divine Continent? Almost all the experts were at a loss for words. They had seen countless Dharma treasures in the world, and there were even many immortal artifacts in this world. However, this was the first time that the great suppressing world steel in the image had shaken the entire world. What level of treasure was this? In the image, the distorted space slowly calmed down. The great suppressing world steel in the image was filled with a powerful aura. Yuan Tiangang stood to the side and said respectfully, reporting to the Divine Lord, this world has already been invaded. It's not easy to mobilize the power of the star core. Lord D won't be able to hold on for long. Saint Lord, please take action. Jing Ming nodded. Looking up, Jing Ming looked at the endless merit in the sky. Jing Ming narrowed his eyes and suddenly stretched out his white right hand. His right hand raised to the sky. At the same time, Jing Ming's body seemed to become bigger and bigger in an instant. In the blink of an eye, it reached the size of 1,000 feet. It was like a huge mountain with its head in the sky. Chapter 906. Jing Ming's palm reached into the merit sea. Jing Ming's eyes focused. He clenched his right hand. Ka 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 ka. Boundless merit was instantly pulled up and quickly shrunk into Jing Ming's palm. The sky was like a flat piece of cloth that was suddenly pulled into a ball by Jing Ming. Cha! Jing Ming shouted and pulled with his right hand. It was like a piece of cloth being pulled down in an instant. Rumble. From Jing Ming's palm, it radiated in all directions. The space suddenly trembled. The void trembled as if the entire world was about to collapse. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, a huge gust of wind blew around the Dajiao's sacred ground. From the trembling void, an endless storm blew down. Not only the Dajiao's sacred ground, this hurricane quickly swept across the entire world. The East Divine Continent, the West Divine Continent, and the North Divine Continent all had a huge gust of wind. Around the world, countless experts looked at the sky in shock. Countless living beings in the world were being ravaged by the violent winds. Under one palm, heaven and earth moved. Cha! Jing Ming's face was distorted. Clearly, he was using almost all his strength at this moment. The powerful pulling force caused the sky to shake uncontrollably. As for the great world-suppressing steel, it held the ground and did not allow it to move. Clearly, if not for the great world-suppressing steel, heaven and earth might have collapsed from Jing Ming's palm. Around the Dajiao's sacred ground, the cultivators who originally wanted to take advantage of the situation were all dumbfounded at this moment. Number one person in the world. Every time Jing Ming attacked, he seemed to be provoking people's nerves. Who dared to take advantage of him? How can this person who is clearly destroying the balance of the world appear in this world? Who can break this world with one palm? Who can compete with him? Master, the number one person in the world you are preparing to challenge is right in front of you. Do you still want to challenge him? Grandmaster, you said last time that Jing Ming was only so. Is Grandmaster also so powerful? There were countless confused voices. Clearly, most of them were shocked by Jing Ming's strength. At this moment, even without Sheng Wanwan's warning gaze, no one dared to cause trouble. No, even if they were crazy, they would not dare to cause trouble. If they ruined Jing Ming's plan, the lightest punishment would be to burn their bones and scatter their ashes. Yan Chuan was standing on Dark Phoenix Mountain. At this moment, the blue sky thundercloud in his Shinting acupoint throbbed, as if it had sensed something. Buzz! Vaguely, there seemed to be countless nets appearing in the void. The nets were illusory and real at the same time. They were faintly discernible, as if they had been pulled out by Jing Ming. On the other hand, if one were to take a closer look at the boundless net, it would seem to have some sort of indescribable rhythm, as if it was some sort of Tao. Justice has a long arm. Is that what I'm talking about? Bai Ditian asked in surprise. Through this skynet, Yan Chuan vaguely saw two huge runes, one black and one white. The runes were very clear, but Yan Chuan just couldn't remember them. He could see it, but he could not remember it. Yan Chuan was also unable to describe the shape of the rune. It was clearly a concrete object, but it seemed to have exceeded the scope of his mind. As soon as he closed his eyes, he forgot all about the shape of the runes. When he opened his eyes, he saw the runes again. It was an indescribable rune. There were two in total, one black and one white. It seemed to be there, but also seemed to be far away. Chapter 907. Goddess Xichen's Tao Seal. Mo Yushi's expression changed. Everyone in the Dajiao Holy Land held their breaths. The Tao Seal had appeared. The foundation of the world, the Tao Seal that Goddess Xichen had sealed back then. Sheng Wanwan's face lit up with joy. Success was right in front of her. As long as Jing Ting made a move, he could take one. However, Jing Ting did not move. Instead, he looked at the center of the two Tao seals. Buzz! A huge figure slowly appeared in the center of the Tao seals. It had a human head and a snake body. It looked extremely vast. Just looking at it made one feel like they were worshipping it. It had the appearance of a woman, and her face was filled with compassion. Goddess Xichen! Someone suddenly cried out in surprise. The four great academies all had statues of Goddess Xichen. She was the ancestor of all creatures. This was Goddess Xichen. Countless cultivators were shocked. However, Jing Ting waited with rapt attention. Goddess Xichen's image appeared and looked at Jing Ting. What's your name? Goddess Jichen's image asked indifferently. Wu Ting. Greetings, Goddess Jichen, Jing Ting said after taking a deep breath. You don't need to care about me. I'm just a remnant image of Goddess Jichen. I carry a trace of her will and reside in this sealed world. Now that you've awakened me, do you know what happened to the 5 worlds that Goddess Jichen sealed back then? Goddess Jichen said softly. They've all been opened. This is the last world. All the Tao seals that Goddess Jichen left behind have been taken by the heroes of the world. Jing Ting said. How is the world now? Goddess Jichen said with compassion. Jing Ting frowned slightly. After the heavens died, although they lost their protection, the heroes became even more ambitious than before. All the heroes rose up, fighting against the heavens with their lives and mending the heavens with their lives. Knowing shame makes one brave. I can die without regrets. This sealed world contains my comprehension. It's the heavenly Tao I understood before the heavenly Tao collapsed. I copied the fake heavenly Tao. Although it can't compare to the real heavenly Tao of the past, I hope it can contribute to mending the heavens. Take the 2 Tao seals. Goddess Jichen smiled. No. Jing Ting shook his head. Huh. I have my own Tao. I will only take your Tao seal for the sake of obtaining the proof of heaven and earth. I will establish the heavenly court. This world's pseudo-heavenly Tao should be left to those who come later. Jing Ting shook his head. Someone who came later. Goddess Jichen was slightly surprised. Jing Ming nodded. Goddess Jichen's statue suddenly laughed. All right, you have your own great Tao, so my fake heavenly Tao is naturally nothing to you. Great Tao. Back then, I comprehended too little of the great Tao. Otherwise, I could have done more for the world. I hope your great Tao is perfect and invincible. Jing Yu received the sincere blessings of Goddess Jichen. My great Tao requires me to establish the heavenly court before it can take shape. I will take your Tao seal, said Jing Ting. As he spoke, Jing Ming reached out to grab one of the seals. Rumble. Goddess Jichen didn't stop him. Instead, she cupped her fists and gave him endless blessings. Boom. Jing Ming's left palm suddenly grabbed hold of the black Tao seal as it shook slightly. Take the Yin and leave the Yang. I will only take the Yin realm Tao seal. I will leave the Yang realm to those who come later. Jing Ting took a deep breath. As he spoke, he pulled with his left hand, and the faintly discernible Skynet seemed to be pulled over in an instant. At the same time, in an extremely gloomy valley, Great Jin's feng shui master, Feng Yin-yang, suddenly looked up at the sky. The surrounding void shook, and countless cracks appeared. Not good, the Yin realm is about to collapse. Feng Yin-yang's expression changed. Chapter 908. In an extremely eerie valley, Feng Yin-yang, the feng shui master of Dezhen, suddenly looked up at the sky. The surrounding space shook, and countless cracks appeared. Not good, the netherworld is about to collapse. Feng Yin-yang's expression changed. Everyone, stop. Quickly, follow me back to the world of the living. Feng Yin-yang shouted. Whoosh. Without hesitation, Feng Yin-yang quickly took a step forward. The surrounding space distorted, and Feng Yin-yang immediately entered it. Southern Divine Continent in the world of the living. Terrible news. Li Canghai stood at the entrance of the Yellow Springs, commanding Yin soldiers to enter the world of the living and capture a large number of ghost cultivators. Suddenly, heaven and earth shook. My lord, not good. The netherworld is shaking as if it's about to collapse. All the ghosts of the netherworld are rushing over. A cultivator on the Yellow Springs Road cried out. Something happened to the netherworld? Li Canghai's expression changed. Remove the defenses and let them in. The more the better. Li Canghai shouted. Yes. Rumble. Countless ghost Dao cultivators rushed over in fright, afraid that they would be too late. Li Canghai frowned. The netherworld? What's wrong? What happened to the netherworld? Li Canghai pulled over a ghost cultivator and asked. It's shattered. The netherworld is completely shattered. The ghost cultivator said in horror. What? Li Canghai didn't understand. Ghost cultivators surged forward. After 2 hours, the road to the Yellow Springs suddenly began to shake. Boom! There was a loud explosion. The Yellow Springs road collapsed. Everything froze. It disappeared. The Yellow Springs road collapsed. The netherworld is completely destroyed. There will be no more netherworld in this sealed world. Li Canghai muttered to himself. Dazhao sacred ground. Jingming held up the sky with one hand and grabbed the black seal with the other. Rumble. Above the sky net, hundreds of millions of heavenly lightning suddenly burst out, pouring down on Jingming. Jingming's eyes widened as he suddenly let out a long roar at the heavenly lightning descending from the sea. Cha! His face was ferocious as he faced the heavenly lightning. Rumble. The surging heavenly lightning went against the flow and retreated back into the heavenly net. Countless Shouja around the Great Light Holy Land gaped in shock. Was this a joke? You scared the heavenly thunder away. Even the heavenly thunder could be scared away. At this moment, the skynet was much dimmer. Jing Sheng grabbed the black Dao seal and pulled it back into his sleeve. His right hand suddenly loosened. Boom! The boundless merit points that were pulled out were spread out again. However, at this moment, more than half of the boundless merit points had been lost. The heavenly net in the sky slowly disappeared from the void, and the white Dao seal seemed to have become much larger in an instant and disappeared as well. Successfully plucked the Dao seal. Shengguan Wan, and Yuan Tiangang both looked delighted. Congratulations, Holy Lord. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. The disciples of the great Zhao dynasty were all overjoyed and congratulated him. Jing Ting's expression was much calmer. Instead, he looked at Goddess Jichen, who had yet to disappear. Many thanks. Jing Ting said sincerely. You only have half of it. Naturally, I won't make things difficult for you. I wish you good luck, and I hope that everyone in the world can live an ignoble life. They will. As long as I'm alive, my people will live in the light and die in the dark. Jing Ting nodded. Goddess Jichen crossed her fingers and clenched her fists in front of her chest again, looking like she was praying for Jing Ting. Gradually, Goddess Jichen disappeared. The sky became clear again. The sun shone down, making Jing Ting even more radiant. Chapter 909. Dao Seal Plucked. Jing Ming succeeded. Jing Ming looked around, and everyone looked at him with admiration. Great Zhao disciples, I am about to leave this world. Jing Ming suddenly shouted. As Jing Ting spoke, the countless disciples in the surroundings suddenly revealed looks of surprise. Ascending to become an immortal. Holy Lord ascending to become an immortal. Some were happy, some were worried. Because everyone knew that the reason why Great Zhao's sacred ground was the #1 sect in the world was because of Jing Ming. Once Jing Ming left, would Great Zhao's sacred ground still be the #1 sect in the world? Congratulations, Holy Lord. Countless disciples could only congratulate him. Jing Ming nodded and looked at Shengguan Wan. Shengguan Wan waved her hand. Middle Void Realm, step forward. Whoosh! 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 Streams of light shot over, and in the blink of an eye, 300 practitioners appeared in the Wu clan's main hall square. 300? The experts from the other sects took a deep breath. These were all Middle Void Realm experts. The #1 sect in the world had too many talents. Shengguan Wan said, Holy Lord is merciful, ascending is imminent. Great Zhao's sacred ground, middle void realm and above, if you are willing to follow Holy Lord will bring you to the immortal world. Wow! Everyone was in an uproar. Whether it was Great Zhao's sacred ground disciples or outer sect disciples, they were all shocked. Ascending? Wasn't it only possible for one person to ascend? How could Jingming bring so many people with him? How was this possible? The 300 middle void realm experts were all surprised. Everything is up to you. You have 6 hours. Holy Lord is merciful and allows you to bring 10 relatives, only 10. Quickly prepare. Shengguan ordered again. Yes, thank you Holy Lord, thank you Holy Lord. The 300 middle void realm experts were overjoyed. Immortal world? Not only could they ascend with Holy Lord, but they could also bring 10 people with them. In an instant, the 300 middle void realm experts flew in all directions, looking for their relatives and disciples. In Great Zhao's sacred ground, countless disciples below the middle void realm were envious. Martial ancestor, I am going to pick up martial wife. Martial ancestor, I am going to pick up your daughter. The disciples of Great Zhao's sacred ground went crazy. The leaders of the 5 major sects were all here, and they were all overjoyed. Guyu Holy Son flew over with his brothers and sisters. Dao Lord Yu looked slightly worried. However, in the end, her eyes were resolute as she summoned her 3 wives and 7 children. Dao Lord Black Sun, however, frowned slightly. Holy Lord. Mohina Dojin suddenly called out respectfully. Jingming turned his head and looked over. Holy Lord, I. Mohina Dojin found it hard to speak. You want to stay? Jing Ting immediately understood. Yes. Mohina Dojin replied immediately. Morning, have you gone mad? Dao Lord Yu exclaimed. The others also looked at Maori in confusion. This was a good opportunity to ascend, and Mohina Dojin actually gave it up. Jingting looked at Mohina Dojin. Maori, I told you before that there are some things that you can't touch. Jingming said with a cold look in his eyes. Mohina Dojin's expression changed as he looked at Jingming in surprise. Plop. Mohina Dojin immediately knelt down. Mourning is foolish, Holy Lord is wise. Holy Lord, please forgive me. Mohina Dojin immediately cried out. Forgive? The surrounding people were confused. What happened to Mohina Dojin? What did he do wrong? Jingming looked coldly at Mohina Dojin. The 10,000 Wonders Demon Lotus is an evil item. You can't control it. Jingming took a deep breath and sighed. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.